in the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What a pity. Tomorrow never certain. What draws behind the curtain? The face of evil smirking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons could breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make me get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make me get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make me get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
That's the wrong one. Hello, hello, hello. Can I be heard?
Nope, I can't.
Can I be? You cannot hear me.
What's happening?
We're all good. We're all good. You're driving. I'm flying somewhere. Well, I've landed. Okay, I'm in Africa, and we got a great topic. We have another dusty African.
Africa is a continent, not a country.
Okay. I guess you can't land on continents anymore. Okay. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Case Closed. Okay, today we're talking about a very important topic. Tongue in cheek indeed, but it's very important in the media, in the eyes of many, politically, socially, and whatnot. We're talking about cultural appropriation. Every now and again, we hear complaints, typically from minority groups. Maybe it's a Latina complaining about hoop earrings, or, it could be between minority groups, African Americans and Latinos, right? But generally it's the minority complaining about the majority, let's say white people in the United States, which we're going to keep it within the context of the United States. Okay, we're going to keep this cultural appropriation conversation within the United States. And we have certain questions to ask, such as, well, what exactly is cultural appropriation? And when does it go from cultural mixing, cultural exchange, regular type of, let's say, intermarriage and whatnot, brown or caramel colored babies and all that kind of stuff? And when does it become appropriation? And is there any legitimate harm being done, to the group whose culture is presumably appropriated? Okay, so and someone is mentioning here women minorities in general. Yes, I mean, when you're talking about culture and things like that, it typically is going to be women that are concerned about it. And by culture, I mean, which, by the way, is going to be the first question. First, starting with Dr. Thunder and then Kaiser here. Is this, when we say cultural appropriation, okay, is it a misnomer, or are we really talking about the kinds of things that are the surface, on the surface of culture, such as your food and your textile and your dances, right? Traditions and certain aesthetic things, because culture, I don't want to say culture is deeper than that. Culture is quite different from that. These types of emanations that come out, that it's like a mirage or whatever that, we call culture. And hence women tend to care about it. Okay. Is that what we're really talking about here? Or is there a way to actually appropriate culture in a deep sense? Let's start with Dr. Thunder and Kaiser.
Yeah, so cultural appropriation. It's a challenging topic because so many things that are called appropriation are really just the artifacts of being in a global marketplace, and in particular in the Americas, a quote unquote melting pot, which I would describe more as a tossed salad than a true melting pot. But it's mostly just the artifacting, the byproduct of living in a global marketplace and in a mixed society. You're going to have people, especially artists, you're going to have them borrow, and sometimes you borrow things and you don't even realize where it came from because there's so much sort of fusing of styles of music and traditions and cultures and so much stuff that it becomes very difficult. It becomes very difficult to know the origin of something. And so I'd argue that most of the time when this sort of thing occurs, it's not done in a what's the word I want?
Malicious
Yeah.
or intentional?
Right. It's not malicious. It's not intentional. It's just this is what happens. However, what happens next, I think, is what's more important. Once it's been pointed out that something actually is, actually comes from another culture and it's clear where the origin is, what does the artist do? Does the artist say, you know what, you're right, and I should give some, homage, some respect or whatever to the culture, the tradition, to the artists that created that style or whatever? Or if they just say, too bad, sucker, we have the copyright to this and you don't get anything. And you don't even get an honorable mention, right? So the sort of thumb in the eye. I think that's really what we're talking about here. In this particular situation with Bieber and borrowing this black woman and Latina woman thing with the what is it, the lip, what is it called,
lip liner,
lip liner
and
and the right, lip gloss and lip liner thing. That's not a look that I like anyway, so they can have that. It's not worth nothing to me. But if you're one that sort of popularized that look, you can sort of understand why, well, when I did it, nobody cared about it. But when the white woman does it, then all of a sudden, now it's all the rage, right? So you can kind of, it's a mixed bag. And part of it is just like people's feelings are hurt because the dominance, because women that are from the dominant society are just more celebrated,
Got it.
So that's sort of my initial thoughts.
Mm-hmm. That's those are some good points. You brought up the point of recognition, right? Which is, are we recognizing and giving due reverence, to the culture from which something comes, or are we not? And also, you pointed out that this is an inevitable artifact of being in a global economy, a lot of mixing and all that kind of stuff, such that you don't even know where this particular style came from. And I think when I talked about surface level, you talked about, let's say, the highest form of surface level, which would be on the arts, right? Which is like, okay, sure, it's all these surface level thing, but if you're an artist, right, and you're stealing art from another culture, then yes, it does bring to bear, as opposed to somebody who just bought some sandals somewhere in Morocco and they're just wearing the sandals, right? And they don't know, right? But if this white artist starts making Moroccan sandals and not saying a word about it, then it might be an issue. So there's a good points all around. And then you brought up the saltiness aspect, which is key here. The when I was doing it, nobody liked it aspect, which is also very important. But guys, what you have to say about what we're talking about so far, which generally has to do with, well, what is cultural appropriation? What is the domain within which it consists? And also, is it not, are we agree that it is surface level? In other words, if you were really to appropriate African-American culture, shout out to Dr. Thunder, then you'll be out there, becoming baby mamas and certain other things like that. But or you wanted to really become you become a really dusty African, making African staircases that don't match up and silly box looking houses and all that kind of crap. But that's not what they're doing, right? They're taking things on the surface. But anyways, where within what does cultural appropriation consist or exist, whatever?
Yeah, very interesting point. I want to kind of consolidate. No, I want to further concretize Dr. Thunder's point, but also kind of give it context from the position of concretization. Is that it's not yeah, it doesn't appear that it's malicious most of the time when people sort of take things from other cultures. However, you could argue that within the black community, let's use black as a context here, as a focal point, is that it might not be malicious, right, to try to steal or take credit for something that was invented by what can be known as black culture, right? An example is rock and roll, right? It's like, hey, did Elvis give credence to that lady? I forgot her name, right? The one who was like out there jamming with the bluesy rocks before he did. I forgot her name, right? She's usually credited, and there's video evidence of her playing what is loosely can be accredited to rock, right? Um, yeah, so the issue there is that, yeah, it might not be malicious, but there's an element of what's that word when you just don't care? Ignorant. No, it's not ignorant. There's a level of, I don't know the word, right? Not caring, but
Yeah, you could say not caring, and
yeah,
people can.
right. There's just a level of just like, oh, it's just whatever. When it comes to black people, when we do Chinese martial arts, right? People learn kung fu. They will literally say it's Cheng Wu Quan, or they will tell you it's a Southern style or whatever martial arts from this region. The person teaching it will try to be as authentic as possible. Will even be speaking to you in Mandarin, saying hi and counting when you're doing the sets. Same thing with Japanese martial arts like karate. You'll be doing the kata and counting, like 1 to 10 using Japanese, greetings, byes. There's still a very kind of real attachment to Japan, even when you go to like the retreats, etc. Same thing with Muay Thai. All these, same thing with even with Bali, right, and the whole sort of yoga thing. They still mostly keep it Indian esque or Indian subcontinent esque, even though they kind of make it their own white woman stuff. But there's always like an acknowledgement of the origins, and that kind of remains integral. But when it comes to Black American culture, maybe it's because Black Americans come for me here now, but maybe it's because there isn't like a centralized so-called differentiation between Black American culture and white American culture, because there is this beast called America, right, which is actually quite fluid in certain states. Because, for example, if we compare, let's say, Afrobeats to, let's say, Black American music, such as that lady who really came up with rock, and Elvis kind of took from it. There's no way white people are going to claim Afrobeats and just not call it Afrobeats or keep the African swag and the African vibe, and that's not possible. And I think the reason why is because there is an actual unit that you can attach Afrobeats to, and Nigeria, maybe Ghana to an extent, right? But it's real. It's like people know this is Afrobeats, and it is Nigerian. But when it comes to Black America, it's a little bit different because it's American, and American is a melting pot.
Hmm.
Sorry.
That's a good point, and I think Dr. Thunder might want to address that. But let me just read a little bit from this article here. This is Hailey Bieber. I don't know who Hailey Bieber is. I recognize the last name, but I doubt she's just Dustin Bieber's mom, sister, cousin, wife. I don't know. Well, Hailey Bieber, she's something. She's selling stuff out there on Instagram. And this article, okay, from Time Magazine says Hailey Bieber faced criticism over the weekend after a TikTok video she made about brownie glazed lips, and that's the lip gloss with a dark lip liner around it, was called out for appropriating the makeup technique favored, you can say invented or, okay, favored by Latinas and Black and brown women since the 90s, okay? In Bieber's original video, which has gained 2.9 million views since she posted it on August 25th, the model wears brown lip liner with clear gloss lip treatment, and she's selling something, okay? She's selling something from her beauty brand, like Rogue.
Now this
Okay,
one,
that's the
I just want to make a comment on this one actually before we move on. So yeah, this Now, you might characterize this as the surface level cultural appropriation, but I don't think it's necessarily a surface level, because the other argument from, let's say, Black women, Latino women is we have been sort of ostracized for having these features, such as large lips, big bodies, ass, etc. So now that it's become, fashionable and it's kind of seen as attractive, you want to come and hijack. It's like, you didn't want to help us build the pool, right? But now that the pool is built, you want to be the person that gets the first pick of utilizing the pool. So the argument now is also in this element, especially Black women, right? It's not really a Black man thing; it's a Black woman, Black, Latin, whatever women, minority women. Is that you have ostracized us for having these features and doing things in this kind of manner. When you do it, you get praised by the so-called hedonistic white supremacy patriarchy. And that element is what they're arguing in this sort of elements here. It's no longer the construction of cultural appropriation I talked about. And this is now about even like tendencies, as you mentioned. It's like, I've had Black women say something about, big boobs and stuff. Is that I was like, actually, no, white women actually have that one on check, right? Statistically speaking. But the point is, it's like I've seen or I've heard those sort of comments from Black women specifically about things which is tendencies to be with them. It's almost like it's their culture, not even like a near exclusive, right?
Yeah, something interesting about this too is, and this made me consider this. So, Black musicians, for instance, there has been a long-standing sense that Black musicians have that they need to be 2 to 3 times better than their white counterparts in order to get the same gig. And I've definitely found this to be true in my own career, when I look around and see who gets certain kinds of opportunities. And the so-called white boy with soul will be celebrated, but the Black musician that sounds the way that you expect this Black musician to sound, like a stereotypical great musician, especially the ones that come out of Black church, musicians that play a bunch of different instruments, musicians that are able to evoke a certain emotion from the audience, musicians that have some of these sort of characteristics that are quite stereotypical of African American musicians, right? You just expect it to be at a certain level. You expect the rhythmic feel to be a certain thing, and so when you get that, it's not novel. However, like I said, if you get the white boy with soul, then that's considered to be novel. Mm-hmm. And so they will get celebrated and boosted to the top when almost every circumstance that I can think of. There are, I'm not saying that this is the case with all musicians. There's a lot of terrific white musicians, and I work with many of them frequently. But there are also a lot of folks that get, that are doing what they're doing, and it's sort of because they're white, they got propped up by record industry. Rock and roll, for instance, is said to be rhythm and blues and whiteface, right? So you take the content of the music, of the R&B music, of the music that came out of church, out of jazz and everything, blues, all of that. You take that and you package it behind a white face. Use the same chord progressions, use the same, especially in the beginning, instrumentation, same rhythmic content. Although later on, the rock and roll music tends to be more even divisions of the beat, whereas you listen to like gospel music and R&B music, it will tend to be uneven divisions of the beat, in particular grouped in threes, right? That has to do with there's an African influence there, right? So the meter will be 12/8 rather than 4/4, right? So, in one manner of speaking, they occupy the same amount of time, but the emphasis, the feel is different, right? So, so there have been some changes in rock and roll, um, since it's been sort of whitewashed, as it were. There's been some some changes in it. However, it clearly is R&B and whiteface, right? And then you can prop these musicians up, and you can say, hey, these musicians, their look is less offensive to the dominant society, right? And from a business perspective, it makes a lot of sense. You can make a lot of money that way, and they historically have done that. And then if you take somebody like a Justin Timberlake, who's super talented, don't get me wrong, super talented guy. It's got like basically an all black band. All right. So at least he hires black musicians, because a lot of these cats will not hire black musicians. They get to a certain place, stage in their development, and then it's all white folks. But Timberlake doesn't do that, which is, I think that's a credit to him. But we also know that there are vocalists that can sing and dance like him, lined up like cordwood. Brothers that do that with, we know those guys exist a dime a dozen, right?
Gotcha.
So anyhow, it kind of reminds me of that sort of dynamic, and so that's why a lot of folks, when they see this kind of thing, they're maybe too sensitive. They're hypersensitive.
Got it.
Yeah.
Good counter, or not, good addition to the point that Dr. K brought up there about, features celebrated, not celebrated over here, but then they're celebrated here. Shout out to Solo TV 84. We all know that Big Booty Ling Ling is more interesting than Big Booty Keisha. It just is, because it's novel, it's different, It's like you expect Big Booty Keisha, but Big Booty Ling Ling's like, ooh, that's interesting, right? So that's just part of the nature of the game. We got LAR in the building. Okay, can you test your microphone?
How y'all doing? Am I working?
What's that?
Yes, it's working. And let me go ahead and give us your thoughts regarding this particular issue, which is a lip gloss and dark lip liner, and cultural appropriation in general. What is it? What is cultural appropriation? Is it just so far we have laid out that, it's something where you take some typically surface level manifestation of a culture, artistic or aesthetic, lip gloss, food, whatever, dance, and you don't give proper recognition and reverence, and people are salty about it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I would just add that in America, you just lump it into American life when it's not. That's one thing about America, that America is really based on cultural appropriation, because
you
culture,
fall off.
It's a claiming of everybody else's culture to say it's one thing. Say that again.
Gotcha. No. Maybe it was me. I thought you broke up for a second, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. He did.
But the lip liner. I'm gonna go to the lip liner thing. That was going to happen. Every time you see somebody who's black in America, who has a business model that's successful, that white America ignored, they slowly try to recreate it. So this happening, is on the back end of like Carol's daughter. I forget the other lady, and then now that Rihanna has this line, it's like, like this black women in cosmetics. Because there's a lady from New Orleans on YouTube. She does the same thing. So when white America sees the money involved now, of course they're going to just jump in it, because what wasn't novelty becomes novelty and becomes a business model to make money. That was the same thing with the fashion industry and hip hop in the 80s and 90s. They used to, that's why today in 2022 you see a lot of hip hop artists in fashion, because in the 80s they would take the hip hop 80s 90s too, they would take the hip hop fashion out of hip hop and then take it on runways and act like it's something new. So that's been going on for years. As far as the appropriation part, what winds up happening is, I think, I would say for Black America, it seems like it's normal protocol for people who are not in Black America to take something from Black America and say, see, we've been doing this. And it's like, come on, man. I know all of the, I know y'all like to, act like you did it, but the history doesn't say so. So it's not just the taking it, it's the acting like you actually came up with it on your own. And it's like, no, you didn't. And why do we have to argue about the fact that you made your version of a bootleg something or tried to make a carbon copy that just wasn't as good and say, hey, that's where the disrespect, starts.
Hey, let me
to. I'm sorry.
real quick. Let me jump in here and just add this point, and then I'm gonna have to go. Yeah, that's interesting. I remember when I was, a young musician, so I was still in, oh goodness, probably middle school or something, and I was playing in the high school jazz band, and there was a drummer in the band, and I don't know if he would remember this, or uh, would fess up about this or whatever, would say, yeah, I said that or whatever, or not. But I went to a school district where, my family, we were kind of the only Black family, or one of the only Black families. Okay. And when I was in middle school, they started doing a jazz band at the high school. And so I started going over to the high school to play in the band. And I remember the drummer, who I won't name. I remember having a conversation with him, and so he's a white guy, and he was a good drummer. And his whole thing was he loved Buddy Rich. Okay, and Buddy Rich was a drummer of note. He was a famous drummer. He had his own band, a white drummer, right? But Buddy Rich was, he copied all the Black drummers. Okay, and anybody that knows anything about the tradition of jazz, certainly you may be able to argue that the piano, maybe saxophone, maybe some other instruments had some musicians that were, white musicians that were of significance as far as is, developing the art form, participating in the art, putting their own sort of unique sort of voice on it. Certainly you could say that, and you could say that somewhat about drums, but the fact is that it's really hard to sound like an authentic drummer without studying brothers. And that's just 100%. Okay. And so I remember having these conversations with him, and whoever his teacher was so locked in on these white drummers. I remember having a conversation with him saying, hey, you're a drummer. How come you don't know about X, Y, and Z? Well, when I think of drums, I think more of like Buddy Rich. And then he rattled off about 3 or 4 other white drummers. You have to work hard to try to find those other listed drummers. I right now off the top of my head, I can't think of the other drummers. But I can think of drummers like Philly Joe Jones. I can think of Max Roach. I can think of, Jeff Tane Watts. And I can think of, there's a long list, Billy Cobham, Billy Hart. I can keep going on and on and on. Jack DeJohnette, Elvin Jones. You can just keep going on and on and on with Black drummers of significance. And so the fact that this white guy studying the drums as a jazz drummer, was trying to argue that, you know, Buddy Rich and, you know, a few of these other white drummers that he was able to find through some sort of painstaking research project. You know, it just kind of shows the length that by which people will try to, you know, the appropriation has happened and they're playing into it, and they play into it probably first because they feel like they can identify with someone that looks like them. But then it just becomes like a really like a stubborn like ritual. And you know, and at some point it's like you're going to have to like acknowledge that that is just not the case. You know, at some point you have to acknowledge it. Well, anyhow, it's good to be on here. I'm sorry I got to split early, but I got a gig.
All right, go play that, and don't appropriate too much of African culture. You know, your idols, niggas.
So sorry, I already did that. So anyhow.
he already did it. Okay.
Right. Peace.
Shout out to you, Dr. Thunder. We got a deep sleep in the building. But let me just kind of say that there's something else that before you go here, deep sleep, a few things have been recognized, which is there's an element of recognition / reverence, right? When it's not there, then it becomes cultural appropriation. There's an element of power that's been emphasized by what Dr. Thunder is saying and what LAR said last, right? In the sense that the person taking this culture from you has to have a certain amount of power such that they could define in commercial terms, or let's say power can mean many things, right? Maybe they're more economically successful. Maybe they control the channels of distribution of the art, blah, 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 right? And all that kind of stuff. So this is a necessary element too for this cultural appropriation thing to be real, it seems. And another thing is the proximity. Maybe we'll flesh this out later, but it tends to be the case that, or let me, Kaizo, you can address this after deep sleep. But when you said that, hey, when people do the Chinese martial arts or the Indian yoga, blah, 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 that they do give reverence to it and they recognize it and they even speak the language. And I would argue that it's because those people are far away. We're keeping this stuff within the American context, by the way, right? So when you take stuff that's really, really far away, you don't mind saying, yes, I got this from underneath the left toe of the Alpian whatever, right? And you speak the language because there's actually a cool factor associated with the fact that you went so far away to grab it. But when you culturally appropriate from a minority within your country, okay, there are many things that make it such, okay, and you can think of how naturally it will be this case, that make it such that A, there's more friction, well, obviously, right, there's more proximity, and then B, there's less of a likelihood for you to kind of give them, you know, to attribution or whatever, right? Because why don't, you know, if you're just stealing from your neighbor, well, then why isn't your neighbor just doing it? Why don't we buy from your neighbor? You know, but if you're stealing from 10,000 miles away, then you can say, yeah, I stole 10,000 miles away. I could even look cool for it, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, deep sleep, what do you have to say about this in general? We've been identifying so far. What are the elements of cultural appropriation? Is there anything real there? Or is it just women complaining about lips?
I mean, it is true. Cultural appropriation does happen. But this is just the woe of being a minority. There's nothing you can do about it, to be honest with you. And the majority population doesn't care that they're appropriating you without giving. I mean, there's no real way to even. I think you guys know, even on TikTok, who are those two girls? The girl who used to be #1 back in the day. Is it D'Amelio or something? They said that she used to copy a lot of her dances, like take it from black girls or whatever. And then, but when those girls did it, it would just get a few views and nothing more, like within their own little circle. But when she does it, it will go viral. So clearly, you know, people want to identify someone doing their in group doing that one thing. So clearly, she was adding value, but the value she was adding onto that dance was just her being, you know, white in a white majority society. So look, there's no real way to handle it. Like black people will like minority groups will be complaining about cultural appropriation or whatever they'll call it in the future for eons to come. It will never change. It's just going to be a constant, no matter what. And I'll even give you an example. Keizo probably knows this. In Ethiopia, they have this thing where Ethiopian artists, or what you'd call Habesha or Oromo artists, will copy like Somali songs, and they would sing the Somali songs, mix it in with Amharic, with our own language, and those songs would go more viral, obviously because it's in a bigger country and bigger population, and make more money because it's in a bigger economy than the Somali
Yeah,
artists.
no one wants to
And no
buy
one will ever
anything
know.
associated with those dusty Somalia. So once you have Somalia next to something, no one wants to buy
No,
that
but
shit.
think about it. The original song and the whole thing is from a Somali artist.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah.
there's
No,
this Ethiopian guy making 20 times, 100 times more money and going more viral than the Somali guy. So this happens everywhere. It is what it is, man. Like, I don't even know how you can fix it, because really, if your group is the dominant group, you're culturally appropriating someone and making more money off of them. It is what.
So LAR, and then we'll go to I want Kaiser to kind of perhaps address what I brought up about the proximity thing, and stealing from far versus stealing from near, and how those things are different, right? Because they definitely. What?
Your Ram suggested that I was supposed to go after Abby, but it's okay. I'm just
No.
Oh, by the way,
yeah. Initially,
just to address the proximity thing,
time
stealing
appropriation.
or culturally appropriating something that's from a distant land makes you exotic as well. That it gives you that aura
exactly.
of exoticness, intellectualism. Oh, I know the world more than X individual. Like, so there's a certain prestige that comes from acknowledging that you got some cultural item or some cultural practice from a distant group. Whereas if it's a group that's right next to you, there's no prestige that comes from it. That's why people are far more willing to acknowledge, like, distant cultural appropriation than the one that's closer to them.
100%, 100%. And yes, guys, so I did suggest that you were going next, but I changed my mind. I think I'm going to take LAR next, because John Zola, by the way, is dropping the $1.99. He's an iPhone user. He exposed himself. He's an iPhone user. I can tell.
That dusty black American.
Oh, he is a dusty black American, isn't he?
Yep, literally.
Shout out to you.
I don't know if he has a job or not.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I appreciate the money, especially coming from a jobless. It's probably from a part of that very important check that it's direct deposit these days. I hear no one, they don't mail checks anymore. It's direct deposit and all that kind of stuff. And even EBT cards, right? EBT cards are or EBT, which used to be food stamps. It's like a nice shiny card now that says Visa on it, so you can pull it out, And anyways, LAR. Let me ask you a question here. We hear about shame, blame, and explain. We talk about certain types of simp behavior, complaining in general, right? And we know that cultural appropriation generally, it's kind of because of the type of thing that it is, which is, food, dance, right? It's women that are going to be, get their feathers ruffled by it. Is complaining about cultural appropriation generally wasted time and simp behavior? Either you get your own power, or you just accept, or let's say you have power but you're a minority, then you just accept that, hey, when the majority takes something, it's gonna do better. There are more of them. So why is this all just simp energy and all that kind of stuff? What do you have to say about the simp aspect of this, LAR?
The reason why cultural appropriation is a problem is because it hits a wall. You can only appropriate stuff for so long from a person or a group of people, and then they catch on and say, I don't want to deal with you anymore. So this is how you have these this is the beginning of gentrification, because now people, it's kind of like a person who as a person beginning to pick a fight with you after you leave. Because when you appropriate something, you're basically taking something from somebody that you didn't do, that they do. And then when they say, oh, okay, no problem, I see how you get down, I'm on exit stage left. Then your niche that you've stolen runs out. The novelty wears off. And then you go back to the same person you stole from to try something else, to see what they're doing. And that's where all of the tension comes from. This comes, everything we consider American. That's why you see the word authentic come out with certain things. But like, this is actually this is original. This is authentic, because people leave and then they go, well, okay, I know I stole that, but, and I know you're not gonna let me steal something else, but how about I come in a neighborhood and kind of finagle my way into somebody else's household, or finagle my way in a situation? And that becomes a problem, because that's how people do business. This is why certain businesses don't get off the ground, because you gentrify your way into stopping their business so you can steal it. This is why, like, when you look around America, if you use culture as food, this is why when you think of American cuisine, nothing is really American. You got Italian cuisine, you got Chinese cuisine, you got Mexican food, you got black food, you got French food. And all of that is considered American when it's not. When you think of the culture of quote unquote music, all forms of music in America were actually a black form of music in America that they renamed, and when we made something else. That's it. When you think of architecture, just the same issue. When you think of inventions and ingenuity and things that we consider so, oh, they do this in America. 9 times out of 10, somebody stole that from another person and made it a business model. And then they, the whole Thomas Edison type thing, that's cultural appropriation. When, hey, my business is, I'm going to take this from you and I'm going to pay you now, but I'm going to take it from, but you're black, so I ain't got to pay you. So I'm going to take that from you and I'm going to take this from you. And people go down to business and say, hey, man, they created this, that, and the third. Nobody asked the question who invented potato chips and why the potato chip company is so big in America. Is because they don't have to pay the black family that created the potato chip. You see what I'm saying? Like,
that is a good place. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm done.
That's a good. Now, when I come back to you, I want you to think about actual effective ways of responding, right? Because you can complain, but that's not going to do anything, and people are just going to keep on taking your crap. You could say that there's nothing you can do, right? LAR, you could say, hey, actually, there's nothing that can be done about it. Or maybe you have an idea of, well, this is how you protect and patent and yes, stuff happened historically that cannot be changed. But from here going forward, how do you protect yourself commercially, right? So, but not yet. When I get back to you, get some time to kind of think about that one there. But Kaizo, 2 things. Number one is the Hegelian aspect of this all, which LAR kind of touched on by the sense of, talk about the potato chip. You see, the Hegel master-slave dialectic kind of suggests that the slave, okay, is going to be dealing with harsh reality, dealing with the physical world, dealing with tough pieces of meat like ribs and stuff, and coming up with ways to kind of make it flavorful, coming up with creative ways of, doing hard work, right? And so on and so on and so forth. And also rather soulful and creative ways of keeping themselves entertained in this slave-like life that they have. And this is true of anyone who is below versus above. And then typically, as a result of all this, there's a lot of vitality coming from below, from the slaves, and the masters take it. This is nothing, this always happens when you have this kind of a hierarchy of classes, right? People are always reaching down to the lower classes to find the juice. The juice is not in the upper class, okay? The upper class starts getting dry and stale and all that kind of stuff. Everyone can probably just picture in their head what I'm saying. And it's a reality. It's true. There's a material reason for it, kind of elucidated by Hegel and then Karl Marx later, right? So I want you to address that, Kaizo, that aspect of the inevitability of this stuff. That it's going to be the people below that are struggling, that are going to have certain types of inventiveness about them, and then it just behooves the master to reach down and steal it, right? And then number 2 is this other thing about proximity. Anything to add about the proximity thing, stealing from far versus stealing from near? So Hegel and then the proximity. And then we'll go to Game Changer.
Okay. Yeah. I If you look at any sort of British or French revolution, or it's always going to be the people who came up, grew up with the coal mines of Birmingham, who developed all these things, music, art, culture, etc. London, it's going to come from, anyways, yeah, certain underprivileged areas. Why? Because of expandability, right? Because if you're already at the pinnacle of human society, there's little room for you to grow and sort of reach creativity that can transcend and etc. So the people who can spread their wings are the ones who will create. That's true. That's very true. But I think you asked the question to Ari about solutions. Well, you know what? I think this could be, again, if Black people were organized, right? And this, since we're talking about them, this is where they could actually create their own thing. Think about it, right? Are you going to allow the white man to define everything, right? Patents. He's the one who created it, the concept, right? All these things, and patents, not just patents, but also, well, I guess patents, yeah, scientific as well as otherwise, right? Um, if you want, or if you think this is intellectual property, and if you think it's like a collective intellectual property, then perhaps you could create a system and try to legitimize it. Well, yeah, this is a culture. So this is a belonging of this culture. If someone outside of that culture tries to make money from it, they have to whether they have institutions. Who really cares about the actual system? You
Okay,
can create it.
let me state an extreme version of what you're saying, because you're saying this obviously because it's on the cultural space, and also it's rather abstract in the sense that you haven't created it yet. You're just talking about the possibility of creating such a system. Let's talk about what the Muslims do when you draw Muhammad, right? That's an example of of protecting something, right? These niggas will literally kill you if you culturally appropriate this stuff, right? So in a sense, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to go with what the white man system, which is like patents and stuff like that, or patents as you call it,
Mhm.
because that's their system. But you could create something else, and could that be? I'm like, hey, how about Sharia and killing niggas if they do stuff? But anyways, let's continue.
All right, right. But okay, so a simple example is the Maasai's, right? Maasai, a lot of white people, once they go to Kenya or Tanzania, they start appropriating Maasai culture. Those little checkered designs that hippies loved, or hipsters, should I say? That's all Maasai inspired stuff. The earring things, or the earlobe things stretching for emos and rocksters. Again, that's all Nilot inspired stuff. Point is, right? I think um, Black people in general, since we're kind of focusing on them, they could actually try to create such a system of patent like systems of control, which, because the issue is, right, I don't think in general Black people are thinking in a sort of in a way that they can make money from these inventions. They're sort of just making inventions out of necessity or fun, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. But the fundamental thing is not, oh, how do I exploit this? Like, how do I find a white boy who can dance to this new beat and then make money from it? Right? They're still not being in control of the distribution network, etc. Because they could do that, right? They could go and
Yeah.
discover this
Okay.
strange little Chinese boy to make them do X, Y, Z, right? It's like, for example, right now, right? Chinese people are sort of seen as the Ubermensch when it comes to intellect, even dancing and everything. So when a Chinese person does it, like a Chinese man does these kind of hip hop moves, no one cares, right? But if it's like some weird looking white woman or something, hey, it's gonna go far. There's just so much context between different stuff. So really, Black people in general are just people who don't want to allow their culture to sort of be watered down and sort of stolen from them. They need to actually think of it as a real solution. This whole kind of crying to the white man saying, oh, you're doing this black fishing. First of all, it's not even black fishing, right? That's mixed race fishing. But that's a whole different thing. They're not trying to look black; they're trying to look mixed race. But that's a whole different kind of worms. Yeah. Point is, find a way to legislate some kind of control, or find a way to utilize the system as is. Find that white boy who can be interesting, and then exploit and make money that way.
Can I ask a
Okay.
question?
Fair enough.
Can I
Go
ask a
ahead.
question? I'm guessing you're not from America or grew up in America, because what you're talking about has happened numerous times in America.
As in,
As
what
in
exactly
Justin
was the?
Bieber, as in Eminem, just using your music reference. That as in the Backstreet Boys, In Sync.
No,
That's
no.
happened
I think he's saying that black people can, if they were in control of the distribution, can find a white person and then just you're like,
Yeah,
hey,
Jay
I have
Z,
all this black
was
stuff, right? But I
like
wanted
Jay
to
Z.
be,
Yeah,
I want to sell it to the white man, so I control the white man. Like
yeah,
I
right,
find my Backstreet Boys, I find my Eminem, and I
exactly.
get the
Yeah,
money, right?
that's what I'm talking about. Who found
Oh, you mean I
Justin
like
Bieber?
Dr. Dre? You're right. You're right.
Yes, Usher. Who found Eminem? Dr. Dre. Who? The Backstreet Boys. You know, the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. You know who wrote all that music? You ever seen House Party? Full Force.
Oh
uh,
yeah, Kid
right.
and playing those guys. Okay.
No. The guys that were playing the bullies.
Oh, gotcha.
That's that's happened numerous times. They're
Okay.
and I don't mean to. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna cut off because I'm sorry for interrupting. American business is very fluid because when you make that move, the business model changes. That's even using a music reference. That's how we got to a 360 deal because black people figured out, oh, I'm a brand, I'm a market, I'm a have a venture over here, and I'm gonna make more money in these ventures than I will with these records. That's where you get the three. Like, understand the model here is fluid. It's not stagnant. But I'm sorry about
So
that.
that interesting. Yeah. So the black people are already benefiting a little bit from the cultural appropriation. Uh, Game changer, or this in this particular case, cultural exportation using a white face to sell more of your particular black thing. Let me see if this thing can play a little bit here before our game changer comes on. See if I can play this TikTok video, because after all, the center of all this is about some lip liner, which doesn't seem to me like a big deal, but.
Bieber just shared her go-to fall lip combo, and she's calling it brownie glaze.
White women, quick question. What would you do if you couldn't co-opt black women and Latino women? Because what the fuck is this? I swear to God, if I start seeing people call brown lip liners and gloss brown glazed lips, I'm gonna fucking commit, and I'm right.
Sorry for the buffering.
Watch one season of fucking
Start it again.
Bieber just shared her go-to fall lip combo, and she's calling it brownie glaze.
Brownie.
White women, quick question. What would you do if you couldn't co-opt black women and Latino women? Because what the fuck is this? I swear to God, if I start seeing people call brown lip liners and gloss brownie glazed lips, I'm gonna fucking commit, and I'm running someone fade. Y'all watch one season of fucking Euphoria and think, oh my God, this is so trendy. Where the fuck do you think you got it from? Be for real. It was black and brown women doing it. It was ghetto when we were mocked and ridiculed. Same top 40 hits run that shit.
Let me pause that, let it buffer. But
Yo, Kazo, is that Mamizi's daughter, man?
wow. Okay. A couple of things before you go, game changer. Like, what's up with the eye stuff? Like, I don't find this eye stuff attractive at all. It's like,
it's to distract from the face.
Okay, go ahead, game changer. Enlighten us on this and everything else.
No, the eye thing is to distract from the rest of the face. Basically, guys do it too. Most of the time, we see a guy with a ridiculous beard or something like that, or glasses all the time. People just tend to try to distract from their face when it's ill-favored. And this is an example of that. Now, I want to point out, and I think that it's necessary to state the obvious in this case, that the white woman here, lipstick or otherwise, is significantly more attractive than the black woman here. And it has nothing to do with her lip liner or anything like that. Now, that's very important, and here's why. Because no matter what, when an attractive woman does something, it is going to be more attractive. And it doesn't matter the race. That's why they hire models who are attractive. When attractive women do something, when they try to sell products, or when they try to, if you see 10 attractive women at a nightclub or something, you tend to more likely you tend to want to go to that one versus the ones with the lesser attractive women. That's just the way it works. And the same applies to lip liners. People, it's not that, and I know the brother was saying earlier that it's a societal bias that when Black women do it, it's unattractive, and when white women do it, it's attractive. It's not a societal bias, at least not a racial bias. It's an attractiveness bias. Black women collectively are unattractive in their weight, in their attitude, and in their style of child rearing and things like that. So generally speaking, everything they do is going to be associated with being unattractive. Unfortunate but true, and they're the only ones that can change that paradigm for themselves until they become more attractive, as they were in the 70s, 80s Soul Train era. Then the things that they will do once they put the lip liner on, people will say, "Oh, that's hot. It's hot because a hot woman does it." This can be applied to anything. If all the attractive women in the world start wearing bonnets, then people will associate bonnets with attractive women. This is just a natural fact. Until you do better by my penis, everything you do will fail as a Black woman. So let's stop blaming racism. Let's start blaming fat ass bitchism. Let's start blaming, messed up dispositionism. Let's start blaming poor parentingism. Let's start blaming strange smellism. Let's start blaming.
No. Go ahead.
No, it's not racism. It's all the dumb crap that y'all do that lower your sexual marketplace value ism.
What's the strange smell? That's curious.
Well, I can't equate it to something else. Like I can't liken it to something else. But every now and again, and I think many fellas here know, every now and again you come across a woman who's a little off smelling.
All right, you said it, not I. But this is a good point you brought though about the attractiveness thing, and it generally we're talking about cultural appropriation. It tends to be on the surface a woman type thing, but on the deeper commercial, other kinds of artifacts such as music, where it becomes more of a man thing, then it still applies as a matter of fact, because for a man it's not a question of attractiveness, it's a question of power, right? If you're not the powerful man, then whatever you're doing, you don't necessarily want to, people might find it cool, but you're not the standard, right? I'm putting words in your mouth now. Does this transpose over to the male side as well? That, hey, sure, you came up with this dance or this particular kind of music, whatever, but you're not the power guy. So I prefer Elvis or something like that. Does it translate, or I'm taking it too far?
A little bit. And the reason why is because people find things like music and art and things like that a product of poverty. So, and the powerlessness is really just powerful people indulging in the arts of the powerless people. So, yeah, a little bit. People like Elvis came about when the Black community, due to segregation and things like that, was very, and of course, lack of technology, was very separate from white society. So a Black person can make music, or a series of Black people can make music, and it not go mainstream because white society and Black society was completely separate. Elvis was one of the many people who was willing to go to a Memphis juke joint and listen to Black music and then appropriate as his own, knowing that there's only a few white people there that heard it. I mean, people do stuff like that all the time when it's less visible. I know I had a friend in college who would tell jokes that every Black person know because it's on King of Comedy or something like that to white girls that he was dating to impress them because they're not familiar with Black culture in its entirety. So, people do stuff like that all the time. If something is not visible, it can be taken. Mm-hmm. And comedians do that all the time. Like Kevin Hart, I'm not saying him per se, I'm just using him as an example, can go to an amateur event and say, "Oh, this guy is funny, I'm going to appropriate that." That's what Elvis did. It's it's a little different because it's not really a matter of power, it's a matter of visibility. Well, I guess if power can get you visibility, then yeah, that's the case.
Got it. Yeah, it happens a lot in comedy. Robin Williams, many big people are notorious for having done that. And just goes again with the whole, the lower down you are, the more art comes out of you. And the higher up you go in class, status, blah, 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 the staler and drier it gets. But let me ask, starting with Deep Sleep and then LAR, about the harm. Okay, Deep Sleep, you were talking about Ethiopians stealing, Somali music. There is commercial harm there in the sense that, or maybe you don't think there is. Maybe if you can sell it better with your image, or like Game Changer was saying, it's beyond just my whiteness. It's actually I'm more attractive, so I get to keep the money, right? It's too bad you can do it. What is the harm being done, or is there no real harm, or is it just kind of ruffled feathers? And again, due to the proximity effect, because you're close together, and because you're close together, you're not going to acknowledge and give reverence and recognition to people, and the people are seeing you doing it, so it's just going to be a powder keg. But really, is there a real harm? What is the nature of the harm? Deep Sleep and then LAR, and then go from there.
I mean, maybe you could say opportunity cost is the harm, because the person from the minority group could be selling the product. But at the end of the day, look, as the saying goes, the game is the game. Reality is the way it is, and people have a far easier way access to their own in-group. And if your in-group tends to be the majority, that means you can sell something far easier, even if you kind of appropriate it or you steal it or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to also touch upon what Keijo said in terms of Black people should have the ability to trademark their own stuff, whatever way that is. Look, for you to trademark something, you need power. If you're a powerless individual trademarking something, it doesn't mean shit. The reason why European or American trademark needs to be respected because they created it is because if you don't respect their trademark, you cannot sell in their market. And their market is the most lucrative market in the world. So they can close you out of pretty much the most lucrative market in the world if you don't respect their laws. And let's say Black people do trademark, okay, let's just say they boycott it. Let's say they boycott this lady's, I don't know, what is she selling, like lip gloss or something?
Yeah,
Who cares?
lip liner.
She doesn't care. She's not trying to sell it to Black people anyway. That would probably affect like 1% of her sales maximum. So it's irrelevant whether you trademark it or not, if you understand what I mean. In fact, like back in the days, those are like around the 2000s. It might even be happening now. Chinese manufacturers used to sell like bootleg Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, and stuff within their market, because at the time Chinese people wanted to drive these cars, but they didn't have the capital. So what they would do is they would Chinese manufacturers would make like bootleg versions of these cars. They would look like BM X5s, but they're not really X5s, and they would have like at least 95% of all the how it would feel to drive an X5. What the Europeans did is they pretty much just banned that stuff from ever being sold outside of Chinese market. Of course,
it didn't matter, right?
Chinese market, the Chinese market was so big, that market was still lucrative enough for these car manufacturers to still keep selling it. So you see, in that scenario, it didn't matter that the Europeans filed a lawsuit for trademark against these manufacturers, and they even won, and they got them, and they got these products boycotted from the international market because they still kept making those cars because internal Chinese market was willing to purchase those cars, and it was big enough and lucrative enough for these manufacturers to keep going. So at the end of the day, trademark doesn't mean shit. Like the paper that it's written on is only worth what it's written on, because you could be closed out of lucrative market. If that doesn't happen, then you could trademark anything. It's irrelevant. So at the end of the day, Black people can't trademark squat because they don't have power. There's no internal markets. If you want to speak economics, yeah, it's irrelevant whether you trademark something or not, in whatever way. Like the only way Black people can trademark something is to go the Islamic route, where you try and terrorize people that try and steal shit, and that won't end well. So we'll just stay away from that.
Well, I mean, it seems like Black people want to trademark things, but put it to a white market.
Exactly, because there's no black market. let's just be honest with ourselves. There's no such thing as a black market. People,
Well,
the black
it's not
market is not lucrative.
lucrative as the white market, but I think why people are mad is because she's selling, a white woman is selling it to white people. And once
Yeah,
again, I get what you're saying, because if black women try to sell it to white women, they would have to do something that they aren't willing to do. And that is get their more attractive women to do so. Like they would have to hire the most attractive black women to attempt to sell it to white women. But unfortunately, even with that, it probably wouldn't work because white women don't want to be black women as much as black women want to
exactly.
be white women.
Exactly.
So,
You're right.
yeah.
Okay.
The hottest black women.
And that goes
Yeah,
to
I just wanted to say
that goes to the
the hottest black woman will not be able to sell as the average white woman to a
Right.
white market. That just will
Here's the
never
problem.
happen.
Okay. The problem with the proximity thing, in essence, is the proximity undermines white supremacy. So what normally happens is somebody culturally appropriates and their parents feel like these people are beneath us, but their children look up to the people as heroes. So you have an in-house problem at that point, i.e., like when people come to America, they lose part of their culture to blend in with America and kind of lose themselves. This is what you see with people coming from everywhere. The same thing you were talking about, the Muslim thing. Muslims do that in the Middle East. They don't do that in America. They're not gonna go crazy and tear something up for a drawing of Muhammad in America. They do that over there.
Shout out to
They smoke.
let me give you a particular example. Not in general, you're correct, right? But I just had to bring up this example because they've been hunting down this guy, Salman Rushdie, for a long time, and they got him in America. As a matter of fact, they recently stabbed him. He wrote this book called The Satanic Verses. Some of you may have heard about it, and it was the whole thing of depicting the prophet. And since the 80s, okay, since the 80s, some imam in Iran put a, what's the word I'm looking for here? What's the word? These two dusty Africans on the panel. The word, you know, when the Islamic people put a thing on you, like a hit on you, they give you
jihad, right? Like,
no, not the jihad. It's a never mind. It's a particular. It's
Farquhar.
Fatwa, fatwa, yeah. There you go. Yeah, they put a fatwa on that nigga, and they got him recently. But anyways, I just wanted to say that. But LAR, your point is correct. That yes, you know, when little kids, you know, little Skylar starts, you know, wearing his hat backwards and doing all that kind of stuff, you know, maybe the parents are regretting a little bit of the appropriation.
I don't know if that's
did.
true.
It's not.
I mean,
it's not just that part.
France?
Huh?
Didn't they kill people in France? That's why, you know, Ayaan Hirsi Ali.
The Charlie Hebdo.
Yeah. But it's definitely, they do it a lot more in Somalia, for example. But anyways, go ahead, LAR.
Right.
Like
yo, Ike, sorry for disturbing the panel.
Hold on 1 second.
You guys want to
let LAR finish.
Oh, okay. It was a comment, but never mind.
Okay. The part of that proximity that really strikes people, because it kills other groups' confidence. If you were raised to say you were better than me, and we're in close proximity, and because of cultural appropriation, and you find out that, guess what? I'm really not that good. This is where you have a bunch of this animosity. Like when you're black and you culturally appropriate white culture, the Second Amendment, you could take that back to the Panthers. When we started doing what white people do with the Second Amendment, we got to change the rules. In the 80s, the same thing we talk about, like Trump. When black people started doing what white people was doing with bankruptcy laws, we got to change it. You get what I'm saying? When the nation started doing business about like hair care products in the 80s, and they said, we're going to make our own products, we're going to have our own stores, we're going to do this. The Jewish community and in white America made sure that we couldn't create a product and be distributed across America. They shut down the whole, from the manufacturing side all the way to distribution. You know, so when people make the assumption that the thing about the proximity is now it's like watching sports. And I you say this reference, and I'm gonna shut up. In the 80s, the commissioner of the NBA was like, we need more black players. And at that time, that was the Magic Johnson, um, Larry Bird, Lakers versus Celtics around that era. What happened was America did not want that. They did not want to see more black players because it was still the remnants of, the Jim Crow and the Civil Rights Movement. But the problem was the white players couldn't entertain or weren't as good as the black players, i.e. the Negro League to the MLB, i.e. why, the MLB had kind of funneled out black players probably about the 90s to now, is because you needed more people to sell tickets because it wasn't entertaining. So I say that to say what wound up happening was you had a bunch of young white men quit a lot of things because they felt like I couldn't manage. And that spilled over actually into academics. Like, I don't know if a lot of y'all know this, but in the 70s and 80s, black men were they used to test at every high school. Black men were very proficient in a lot of things in academia. And thus, that was part of the reason we was going to the military. And and around that time, that's when they changed all the schooling in black neighborhoods. That's when they started cutting out all of the trade programs, all of the art programs. That's why you saw hip hop, not people were scratching records and breaking beats like that and just sampling, because they took all of the things that people learned in school out because they didn't want that kind of competition. So that's the issue with it. But I'm done.
Can I say this in response to that? I agree with most of it, except that the portion that they fear superiority. What I've seen as far as how white people behave is that they embrace the superiority of others, perhaps to a fault. When it comes to like martial arts or something, they have no problem, taking and promoting a superior form of fighting. You've seen that in the 80s with the ninjas. You've seen that in the movie Karate Kid. They made it clear that Mr. Miyagi was not white. They made it clear that, he is a old Asian man that kicks white ass all the time. So they do, and they did the same with Bruce Lee. And that's because when they see something superior, whether it's the food that they eat, they'll say, I'll go get some Chinese food, or I'll go get some Mexican food, I'll go get some Indian food. When they see something is superior to them, then they will give credit to the people typically. Give credit to the, go for it.
Using that reference,
okay,
that's why they marketed Chuck Norris more than Bruce Lee. That's why Bruce Lee was a sidekick here on the Green Hornet and had to go back to Asia, to China, to be a movie star and then come back. That's why David Carradine wound up being the character in Kung Fu when Bruce Lee actually created the show.
Okay, fair enough. Initially, they did try to
the picture of, and Steven Seagal, the picture of martial arts in America.
Right.
Let's
put it like this. They did make it clear that that karate and kung fu was a Chinese and Japanese thing. They wanted to make that blatantly clear to society. They may have later said that white people got a hold of it and they were capable of it, but they did give credit to where it came from. They basically say that this superior fighting style works with us. So, but they did acknowledge the superiority of somebody else's fighting style.
No, they played it as a changing of the guard and said and put it as if they learned something from somebody Asian, but they were actually better at it.
Yeah, because exactly.
That's how they.
Which is true.
Yeah,
which is true. The white man's MMA is superior to any of those dusty East Asian martial arts. Nothing can come close to MMA. So
but they did find a technique that was superior to
MMA.
Yeah, MMA is much like, look, if you take the average MMA fighter, put them with some kung fu or karate
Kizo,
person.
this is how
MMA
you know
person.
we
So wait,
don't.
hold
This
on a
is how we
second.
know that you
MMA
don't know
is quite
shit about
relevant to this
sports.
conversation because MMA is a mixing, right? Is a mixing, which is quite different from. So let me just say this, and then we can. I think LAR, if you wanted to respond to Game Changer, and then Game Changer, give you a rebuttal back and forth there. But on the MMA front, so it tends to be the case that on this level of, let's say, aesthetics and such, things tend to be contentious. People get a little angry. But when it comes to, let's say, what's the best way to build something, okay? Human beings will tend to cooperate and say, hey, these people over here do this, they use this type of bricks. Same thing with MMA, for example. The best way to fight, the best way to do a particular experiment. In other words, where the rubber meets the road, right? Where there can be experimentation or immediate feedback from reality, such as you got knocked out, right? That kind of a thing. Then people, there is no, cultural appropriate, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you'll take what works. So it's completely out, in a way it's related, but it's outside of this conversation because when the rubber meets the road, when it's about science, experimentation, who gets their ass kicked or who's the best engineer, people, what works, right? People don't care so much. But anyone can rebuttal on that, but LAR and Game Changer, you guys can go back and forth a little bit, whomever wants to start.
No, so I get what LAR is saying, that with Bruce Lee and everything and how they attempted to do so. They still made it clear that this is a Asian technique, that this is an Oriental technique, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like the brother was saying, there may be some truth in it. They just say that they took it and did better with it. And when you look at MMA, they do mention that, when they say jiu-jitsu, they say Brazilian jiu-jitsu and things like that. They make it clear that this is not an Anglo-Saxon fighting style. In fact, I don't even think that there is like a white jiu-jitsu or a white form of fighting that they just champion over all others. So when something is superior, they do give it its roses. Now, the problem with this lip liner thing is that Black women are not or have not proven themselves to be the superior beauty. So they haven't, they can't really give credit to that without losing something, So
the Game Changer is your whole presence on the internet like one massive negging.
Yeah,
no, that would be funny if that's what you were out here doing.
No, it's not. And I know it seems like that because of the content, because of the context of this conversation. But it's very important because that is the reason. It's very important to understand that they cannot brand something until they change their overall image, until they improve their overall image, because any product that they try to sell with their current image will not be effective. So I know
what about the beauty standards though? What about the beauty standards? Because I think you sort of prefer that Eurocentric look, right? So what if Black women say, they have to be themselves and be accepted for, if you see a very beautiful sister with like, with hair that looks like, nice trees, she's not going to be, no matter how beautiful she is, in the white society, she's just not going to be seen as, the norm, because people can't relate to it.
Well, let me respond to that right quick. What is the country that I champion the women the most?
You're going to say Horn of Africa, right? So, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, Eritrea, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really not a matter of European beauty standards. It's a matter of fat ass bitches in America. Let's be clear. You can't be unattractive and then say it's an African thing. That's just ridiculous. And you can't shame somebody for liking somebody who actually work hard. It is easier for a woman to be fit, like Kelly Stamps fit. It is easier for a woman to be fat than it is for her to be fit. To look at, why are Europeans in the gym like crazy? How is it a European beauty standard when they got to work out to do it? How is it a European beauty standards when they got to cut up carrots and celeries to do it? If it was a European beauty standards,
that's actually the issue. And I'm just trying to be objective when I say this. Black women's issue with the European or American beauty standard is it's not apples to apples. It's not 10s to 10s. It's not 8s to 8s. The way that you've seen it in social media and on television and in movies, where even on your news stations, if you get a white woman that's a 10 and a Black woman that's a 10, they're going to kick her off of the show. They're going to complain her off of the show. you're gonna have to have a 10, a white 10 with a black 5, and then say it's a beauty, and look at the different beauty standards. They don't do it one for one. And when you look in public, the white women that people put up as beautiful, they're beautiful. But when you go out in life, you don't see that type of women on a regular basis. True be told, in America, you see more attractive black women that are regular than you see attractive white women that are regular.
I disagree with that one, and I am more attracted to black women than white women. But it's really black women that's doing the imaging to themselves. You know, they just what they got like $19 million opening weekend for a movie that's full of ugly bitches with spears. Are you kidding me?
Oh, thank you.
Nobody else is doing that to themselves. It's black women that are making these movies and supporting these movies. You're stupid.
That's next tribe.
To support what?
How come Wonder Woman was full of like, you know, chicks with ghostly outline and 6 packs, you know, all of whom you wanted to smash. Nobody wanted to smash Viola Davis. Everybody.
You guys have brought up some very good points. You and Eliar here, and Deep Sleep. I'll let you go next here. I'll let you go next. It's an interesting thing that Eliar brought up, which is you know, this kind of like, hey, I'm going to Disneyfy things. Like marketing basically takes some kind of crazy, super beautiful, blah blah blah. And in a way, it's unrealistic, but it's true. I can imagine if this movie that you're referencing, Game Changer, was about some Nordic tribe of women, okay? They'll all look like, you know, all the Lord of the Rings, flowing hair, beautiful elfin women. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And we know that's not what they actually look like, but that's what they'll show. And it's a marketing game, and you got to play the marketing right. But you, Deep Sleep, you can take it.
Oh, okay. This is just a tangent. Adult supervision, bro. This guy, you wrote in the comments, 1 times 5 equals 10, bro. Never mind.
I saw that. I don't know what he was. He's a smart guy, so I'm not sure what the joke is.
Maybe you meant like the black woman is a 5, right? And then she thinks that she's
no,
a 10
I got what
or
you were
something. I
saying.
don't know. And then compared.
No, I got what he was saying. He was trying to say that anytime a European, especially in the any dominant society, takes in whatever they're culturally appropriating, they multiply the value of that product. They make it far more valuable, at least commercially, than it actually is. And to add on to what the brother said, look, when he said, if there was a 10 out of 10 woman, a black woman, and a 10 out of 10 white woman, the dominant white society would pick the 10 out of 10 white woman. No shit. They should. That's just
I didn't say the white society. I wasn't talking about white society.
He's talking about
the dominant society.
No, he's
I'm not
saying
talking
that.
Yeah, but they are the dominant.
Then
No, LAR is talking about the venue. He's basically saying that they never put 2 equally attractive women, black and white, in the same setting. Now that could be true. When I normally
but this has to be blamed on the black community as well.
Well, I mean,
just to go back to what you said about no, let me just remember the movie that we're all talking about with those ugly hoes. They are Pan-Africanists that were fighting tooth and nail, saying that if you call these women ugly, then you have a European. then you have a European mindset, and that you're Negropean if you call these women ugly. You see, black people don't put standards upon themselves as it is.
True.
You can't blame the whites. There were people calling me whitewashed because I call those women ugly. Like they're ugly on any standard, even on Mars. Those women are ugly.
We don't have standards.
So how can you expect white people to give you to impose standards on the type of black women that they show when the black community itself across the world doesn't put that same standard?
The black woman is who the white woman projects herself onto being, right? She lives vicariously through the black woman, right? Single parenthood, being the sole provider of the family and all that stuff. So especially this movie
spiritually in ideal land, we all know the story of her championing the kind of black woman type of feminism, but she still marries Brad and is rather traditional. But in fantasy land, they want to project that craziness on, and unfortunately, the black woman accepts. Is it the case, LAR, that the black woman?
Of course.
Is this true, LAR, that this whole dynamic of you know, the black woman kind of taking on all the ugly sides of feminism,
Of course.
right?
Like
And the white woman
people don't.
takes the good
Yeah,
sides.
well,
Yeah,
that's definitely true.
they welcome their
But the irony of that is, you know, we're not paying attention to the other side sometimes. Like that same behavior that we talk about in our women, they put themselves on blast. It's just those shows last for a shorter period of time. Like, even back up to the attractive part. Get on Instagram and find the finest white chicks and the finest black chicks and see who you really want. I
the
bet
black
you.
ones.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about with venue. What you talking about right now with the feminism part? Do anybody? You remember the basketball wives? Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember the baseball ones?
No.
No.
They cut that because they cut it off when the wives started saying, "I'm gonna get this my husband. He gonna get me pregnant on purpose, even though he don't want a baby, because I'm gonna get some more money out of him." After that episode, they shut it down. Do you remember? But do you remember the mob wives?
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember? You know why they let that one go on for so long? Because Italians technically still ain't white when it's convenient.
Well,
when you brought up Wonder Woman, the oldest Wonder Woman in the 80s, she was Hispanic. The one was Gail Gadot. She's not American. She's like Mediterranean or something.
Yeah.
So their standard of beauty ain't even themselves. You see what I'm saying? They plug in people.
Here's the thing. Okay. White women don't support things that damage their brand. Black women do. The movie The Woman King is extraordinarily damaging to a feminine brand.
Like Xena?
Yeah, well, Xena is different because Xena, Lucy
White?
Lawless.
She still looks good.
Lucy Lawless was attractive, and not only that, she walked around with a hotter, like, Batman and Robin bitch.
Like China with the WWE?
I don't know who that is. But I'm pretty sure that the WWE wrestlers, for the most part, are attractive. Of course, they're going to have like.
Oh, they're hot. Let's not do that. They're hot.
Like they're going to have the Magulas or something like that. But what I'm saying is, when you're not going to watch something for a long period of time that show a group of ugly ass white bitches.
In fact, the fattest chick in WWE is a black woman.
So yeah,
do any of y'all know who China is? China died.
I remember China. I remember China from back in the day. CHYNA. She used to come out with a Triple H. I know China.
My point is, LAR, is that white women do not support their own ugly. That's what I'm saying. Black women have a tendency to support their own ugly ass bitches. Like, I mean, take the color purple. That's
like Roseanne.
Yeah, okay.
Every black woman is a 10. That's the problem.
Like the show Shameless.
Well, yeah, like Fiona.
Like Breaking Bad.
Fiona was an attractive woman. What are you talking about?
Fiona was a thought.
Okay, Fiona was a thought. She was an attractive woman. My point is, to a degree, black women support their own ugly image to a fault. Period. Like the movie The Woman King was written by a white woman. Now, there are instances in history where white women have bested white men. There was a British queen who led an army against the Romans and had many successes before her eventual defeat. But you'll never hear that story because nobody want to see like a bunch of white bitches with spears. They don't. At least white women don't. They're not going to besmirch their own image to the extent that we do, or to the extent that our women do. That's
like the remake, like the part 2 of 300.
I don't know which unattractive white women are you talking about. I truly don't.
Yeah, obviously you guys are going to need to pay some sociologists to do a study to find out, otherwise you guys are going to go back and forth with data points. We got to do the aggregate of the data.
What I'm essentially saying is, I get you. Here's my thing. I very much so.
In 300, and there was an army of them. Then I would, in 300 part 2, I would stand corrected. But I'm pretty sure if there was some white warrior Sparta bitch, she was attractive. I don't even remember seeing that movie, but I am almost certain that she was at least attractive. I'm almost certain of.
Here's my thing. That's what I'm trying to point out. When we interject, like, black to white, for some odd reason, we as black people, no matter where we're from, have a big blind spot to the stuff that's already been done, that white people have done the same thing. It's a complete blind spot. That's what I'm trying to point out. When I can give you a, here's one, I don't remember that. Here's another, I don't know. Here's that, I never seen. Here's that's a. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that blind spot makes it look worse because we're not actually paying attention.
Okay, look,
the movie 300.
Can I just interject one?
Tell me this. I'll bring up the IMDb.
Yeah, after Game Changer.
Who's the ugly chick in 300? Who's the Viola Davis looking snot crying bitch in 300? Because I'm bringing up the cast and I don't see any over 50 chicks. Look, this is what I see. Like, I mean, how ugly are these chicks? Like,
here's my point about the blind spot. Game changer. I said the second one. Well, I said the second 300.
Okay, well, in the second one, who's the? Please tell me her
the one
name.
that was raised to be a warrior that got raped all the time.
Okay, let's take a look. What was her character?
Yo, she was not. No. I know that movie. She was not that unattractive, bro. She was just average.
Was she not? Did they not treat her like a lesbian? Was she not the short hair, butch kind of girl who just happened to be small?
I mean, so was Captain America.
Wait, are you talking about the Queen?
Jesus.
Are you talking about the lady that died?
The one that was about the second 300, not the
second 300.
Yeah.
See how many times I gotta say the second 300? This is the blind spot I'm talking about.
Okay, but let me just interject for 1 second. Let me say this. Look, it's about ratio. In that movie, okay, let's just look at 300, the whole franchise itself. How many attractive white women did you see versus unattractive white women? They can be placed for 1 or 2 if there's like 10 other attractive ones. It doesn't undermine the message still. So if
you even
in total
know
media,
who I'm talking about in the
bro,
second one?
Oh my God. Look, we don't need to know. We've all
That's
seen
the problem,
on average. Okay. Can I just finish? Look, on average, when you watch black women in media or black people in media, what percentage is bad for our image as a whole? What percentage is undermining our image publicly versus for white people? You would argue that almost 1 in 2 images of black people in media is probably undermining the image, while it's probably far less for white people. And on top of that, the dominant society doesn't need to do as much propaganda as the minority society, man. That's just a fact and reality of life.
True. I mean, for example, Chinese people.
This is my point
Jews.
about the blind spot. Didn't I bring that up about venue about 10 minutes ago?
All right, but okay, good point. But my point then was like, why don't we own the venues and the full distribution network? Because you mentioned about Dr. Dre, and that's good. But we should be the one peddling the whole. We should be owning the whole drug game, right? When it comes to,
because you're economically weak, man.
What?
Yeah, we should be owning the whole. We should be peddling the whole culture game, right? We shouldn't be allowing white.
No,
why not?
Because for one, drugs don't get produced. Those type of drugs do not get made in America. For one. For two, who's controlling it? The Mexican cartel, because they're making the drugs in Mexico. The Asian folks, because they make the drugs in Asia. That's how it goes.
What you guys are on right now is relates to the question here on the about how you fix things. I just wanted to state my stuff, and then you guys can continue here. But given the nature of the universe, right? Inertia and momentum, and also now you have the interest of incumbent people. Okay, so we're talking about people on the bottom trying to come up, right? It is more rational that you stay at the bottom forever than you actually ever come up. So the idea of, that, in other words, what I'm saying is, okay, you're asking, okay, how do you change? How do you come up? I want to just make it clear, first of all, that it is more likely in the universe that you actually stay in the bottom forever. And I think you actually have to consider that as a possibility as a reality, first
No,
of
but
all.
I
Because
disagree.
otherwise you may not realize the difficulty of the task, is what I'm saying. It's like when you realize the inertia, blah, 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 and I know things, I know things tend to vacillate, pendulum swings, blah, 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 civilizations rise and fall. I know that is also true, but outside that dynamic, there's nothing that says you should rise out from the bottom. You might just be there forever.
Let me ask you, what about the Chinese and the Jews, right? The Chinese are leading the intellectual class in America, the UK, most places, even the world, actually, right?
That was my first. I understand, right? But the first point I wanted to make, which is perhaps the contrarian point, right, or the point to kind of maybe I'm just being sensationalistic or whatever. But I'm pointing out that hey, there's nothing that says you should rise. I mean, you might just be there at the bottom forever, and then now you kind of see how difficult the problem is of how do I sacrifice right certain things in order to
that blacks are just bottoms.
Basically, ultimately, the economic route is what I'm going to take. That's the answer. Economic route I'm going to take. And when you look at the economic route, okay, other than the let's lift up our swords and kill people route or let's protest route, right? You're going to see how difficult it is to actually, add value, gain the capital, distribute the capital in ways that actually make sense for you, and then keep the gains within your community generationally, because you need intact families and all these other things. You see that it's actually difficult as opposed to just some kind of a natural law that, oh, I'm going to rise. It's just a question of, pushing this button or the other. You might be at the bottom forever. It's just my own kind of my little pessimism. But I'm not saying that the Chinese didn't do it or the Jews didn't do it and stuff like that.
Okay, but I think...
Here, one moment.
Go ahead, Kaiser, before I share this here.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, I think you make a lot of puns there about being, blacks being the bottom and all that kind of stuff, and the white man being on top, basically proverbially effing us in the ass forever, and us being sort of the slave in the Hegelian master slave dialectic. I know that's what you're saying, right? Okay, interesting. Look, in general, I think that is the case, right? And I think these people, these blacks, will be there forever, and that's why I'm an individualist, right? At heart, I have sort of given up on the, collective thing. I still say things, but my mind isn't really on the is it really possible, probable situation. Okay, so you can't win at every game, right? I think blacks, the thing with you guys is you focus, on the cultural aspect more so than the technical or competence aspect, right? For example, blacks focus so much on this realm. The Chinese man doesn't really, whether he's not good at it, maybe he doesn't have skills that he can sort of, impact culture. Who really knows, right? The unique interactions, but he focuses on getting skills, jobs, and sort of leading his realm. So let me give you a simple
example. That's very hard to do. That's my point.
Right. In the UK, Indians are actually some of the richest people, even more so than the white man, right? They own more houses and all that kind of stuff and businesses. So what an Indian does is he opens up a corner shop, employs his retarded cousin, right, to be watching the door, then another cousin to be the one, actually taking in the money, etc. Right? They do this all over, even more technical businesses, hospitals, doctors. They put their cousins again into the right doctors who can then give them the whatever fellowship or surgical residency, whatever it is, right? They do this together in a very cohesive way. So what I was trying to say, LR, when I talk about drug, I was using as an analogy. What I really was trying to say is, yes, Dr. Dre and these people have brought up certain white people and put them in the front, but we shouldn't just be doing that. We should be owning the whole distribution service, right? All these venues you're talking about.
I guess what you're saying is Dr. Dre has done his part. Right.
Yeah, he's done his
part.
Now
it's a question of, but we need a critical mass, as some would say. But let's go to the screen here. Game Changer is continuing with his propaganda, assaulting Mr. LAR with pictures of ugly black people and pretty white genies. What is your point, LAR? I mean, Game Changer.
Well, no, you've made my point for me. So this is the stuff that I watched growing up. So let's take a look at the Brady Bunch and, the mothers and etc. on the Brady Bunch. So let's see. Let's do this one here.
Norbit.
So yeah, this is the Brady Bunch mom. This is I Dream of Jeannie. This is And then we have something different. What the fuck is this?
I'm glad you did that.
Hold on.
So let me get this right.
What the hell is this?
Okay.
What the fuck is this? Now, see, here's the thing.
It looks like a chipmunk, man.
It's not my responsibility. Dang, you're cracking up. It's not my responsibility to avoid this, to check this behavior. It's not. Claire Huxtable was a baddie, and I agree. And they did start pushing away from this mammy style image. I agree. Black women, but they still hold on to it. They still never let go of it. They still never let go of the Jill Scotts. They still never let go of the Loretta Devines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They need to let go of that image every time. And Black women, you listen to me and you listen to me good. Every time they show a Florida Jefferson bitch, you need to boycott that movie. You need to boycott negative images.
Actually,
let me do this for a quick second. So, because I'm 42, so I know all of these shows. It's kind of interesting. You brought up the Brady Bunch, two side families that came together, but you're gonna skip over that part. You brought up I Dream of Jeannie, a white girl who's supposed to be Middle Eastern, but she's the piddle. Okay, fine. Now you skip over All in the Family. You skip over Laverne and Shirley. You skip over I Love Lucy. You skip over The Honeymooners. But it's okay. I know you made your point because the blind spot is you forgot all of that.
What's wrong with Lucy? I'm confused.
What did Lucy and her friend do every episode?
Slept in a separate bed from her husband?
And sabotage her husband every episode.
Okay, see, I'm talking about looks here. Lucille Ball
Lucy wasn't attractive.
Oh, okay. I mean, for black and white, she was considered attractive.
Oh, okay, yeah. And what about Laverne and Shirley? That was television's first kind of lesbian couple. Forgot about that.
Is that what that was?
You know what? Here we go with this blind spot retarded stuff again when you bring up white people.
No. Here's the thing. Okay. And I think you're right, LAR. I probably do have a blind spot. I don't like to look at ugly white bitches. Every now and again, I'll look at episodes of Good Times.
So how can you compare ugly black women with ugly white bitches if you don't like to look at ugly white bitches?
I don't think anybody likes to look at them. My point is that if black women are concerned about their image and reputation, then they shouldn't support things that put their image and reputation at jeopardy. Is that something you can agree on, LAR?
Yeah.
LAR, I have a point there, and it's related to what Game Changer said, but Deep Sleep brought it up earlier, saying, hey, you have an issue with your reputation, you got to do something about it. But Deep Sleep brought up the fact that you actually have to do more than the dominant society. Like, you actually got to be doing that crazy, we are elves looking like we came out of a dream more than the dominant society. So goes the idea, right? And we know this kind of thing is the kind of thing.
Every black woman is a 10. Kevin Samuel
Yeah,
said so.
but the point is, you can't just say that. You actually have to project it. You actually have to put it out there. But every black woman is a 10 is the opposite, right? Of just kind of saying every fat idiot.
And that's the issue. Black women.
That's the problem, right? But LAR, do you accept that hey, you know what? This is the way it is, and you actually have to promote yourself more than they do. You actually have to be more crazy and artificial plastic marketing than they are.
Yes.
I get it. I've seen it before. Does it work in America? Not really. There's nothing wrong with doing
it. LAR, could you tell me if you
can I just say,
if I may, LAR, could you tell me if you agree with this statement? Would black women stand to benefit from not supporting negative images of themselves?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then we agree to agree. That is my foundational point. So, black women, the ones of you who are listening, stop promoting ugly ass black bitches. Next time they try to come up with a new Oprah or a new Wendy Williams or a new, who's the chick they got another fat bitch that's replacing Wendy Williams. What's her name?
Sherry Shepherd.
Stop supporting chicks like that. Support the Tyra Banks show. And then when Tyra Banks stopped being hot, support another hot black chick show. Stop letting them fatten and ugly in your image. Y'all supported for 30 years. Y'all supported like Nell Carter and all these, but y'all continue to support these Wendy Williams looking bitches. Y'all continue to support this. This is a detriment to y'all image.
I get it, but all I'm saying is, don't overlook Sally Jesse Raphael and Ricky Lake.
Why? Why?
Because if you're gonna make a comparison, what I'm saying is, if you're gonna make a comparison, and I agree with what you're saying, but if you're gonna make a comparison, you can't compare it to a fictional fantasy that you don't know. Compare it to the actual comparison. I'm just saying, when I put up the comparison, that's when I'm talking about it goes blank. So as far as saying letting an argument stand, how can you have an argument about something when you don't even realize what the comparison is?
Oh my God. It doesn't matter. You see, when you want somebody, okay, listen. When you want somebody to win, you stop looking at the other Okay, here's the thing. Say it's a football team, right? And then I say something like, hey, our running back is too slow. And then somebody comes out of nowhere and says, hey, you know something? You're blind because their running back is slow too. Well, I want you to win. So if they're fucking up, then let them fuck up. Let them have their Sally Jesse Raphaels or whoever the fuck ugly bitch they have, okay? Let them have that. Let them fuck up worse.
Using your reference, that's why you watch film. Because you want to see what you're up against to beat the shit out of it.
Oh my God. Look, can I just say one thing?
But
as a minority group,
what you have to do, listen. If white women are promoting ugly bitches, black women shouldn't. If white women are not promoting ugly bitches, black women shouldn't. Therefore, if not white women are supporting ugly bitches is not a factor. It is not a determining factor. It's not a relevant factor because the end result is the same, and that is black women should not be promoting ugly bitches. Whether white women, if white women go out and do it 10 times, more fool them. If they do it at a rate of 10 times the way black women do it, more stupid them, okay? However, the results are the same. Black women need to stop doing it. Stop saying white women do it too, as if that has any bearing.
I'm not saying white women do it too, game changer. I'm saying why I'm pointing out your blind spot. I'm not.
It's blind because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if white women are doing it or not.
No. It does matter when you come up and say these other women are beautiful and gorgeous, but you're blind to actually them.
Women own Vogue. White women own the modeling industry. At least white gay men own it, and they project the white woman. So the tarnishing of the white woman's viewing on society isn't going to be as grand because there's more diversity. There's more of them. So of course there's going to be, in general, it's just they're more diverse. When you're a minority class, you have to operate at a certain level of extraness if you're going to be able to compete. So white people have the luxury of being more diverse. For us, if we're going around here showing like okay, let me show you some new shows from today's generation.
There's no room for error when you're a minority.
There's no room for error.
Why you brought up Jewish people and Chinese people earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You brought up their successes, right?
Right.
Now, anybody
Chinese people known as the best.
I'm sorry. Anybody on this panel would say those same Jewish people, if they were still in Germany today, would not be successful. And
they would be
dead, man. What are you talking
successful abroad was
no. They were already successful in Germany. Actually, that's why they were killed. They were the most successful.
I think he means if Hitler won or something.
Oh, that's a different argument.
After that ended, if they were still there, they wouldn't be successful.
They'll be dead. I don't know about that because right now Germany are trying to apologize to Jews and being really nice to them. So I still think
they don't live there. They don't live there though.
Yeah, because they don't want the same thing happening to them what happened before. But the point is Jews as a minority.
The closest thing to that on the planet is us in America.
Okay, right.
Everybody else on the planet does not have the situation we do in America. Nobody else. Jews got reparations.
What about the Aboriginals in Australia?
To go back to and all the resources in it.
The Canadians. The Canadians.
The Aboriginals in Australia.
And what's happening to them? Are they
the
successful?
Dusties,
Bro, what do you
the
mean what's
drugs.
happening to them?
They
Are
have
they
they have ugly
successful in
women too, by
Australia?
the way. But
Oh, the ugliest women in the world, actually, Aboriginal women. They look like they look like
They look like
underdeveloped
desert
human.
toads, man.
You know what? I hope y'all be jerking off the rest of y'all lives talking about these women ugly everywhere else. Y'all cold blooded.
Bro, they look like desert toads, man.
No, hey,
Y'all
can you please
horrible.
pull up an Aboriginal? Just type in Aboriginal
let's
women on
y'all
Google,
go ahead.
please.
I'll find it. I'll find one.
No,
fellas.
because if I agree with, I'm
Fellas.
probably gonna agree with you. So I'm gonna concede
Keizo,
already.
Keizo,
Because y'all gonna pick the
Keizo,
ugliest one to look up.
No,
No,
Keizo.
you can
No,
see just
Keizo.
yeah.
Keizo, you know
no,
what they look like? This
you
might
can't
be a bit of a
call
nerd reference, but you know
um,
what they look like? Remember when in Naruto was absorbing Toad Sage Chakra, and his body
Right.
was transforming into a toad.
Oh,
fellas, you can't call Aboriginal women ugly without first looking for ugly white women, or else,
Yeah,
or else,
because
or else it's a blind spot.
no. You cannot compare Aboriginal woman with the ugly white woman. They're not like no. Aboriginal women did not look good,
No.
man. I feel.
I didn't
Look at
see
that,
the
like
insult,
what the
so I got a blind spot to that game changer.
Yeah,
and that's
but
the
look
most
at
beautiful
Rosie
one there.
But look at Rosie O'Donnell.
You love Rosie O'Donnell. She's a white woman.
Yo,
I mean, listen. Every
Keizo,
time
do you see the one at the bottom in black
every
and
time
white?
you bring up
What
an ugly Aboriginal woman, you have to bring up an ugly white woman to show that there's balance in the universe.
I mean, look at that, man. I
Right?
mean,
Like
the
you
most
just have
beautiful.
to.
Oh
Really,
my
man? Y'all
God.
gonna show somebody grandma? Seriously?
No, that's a young one.
You gotta show
Why are
the
they all
best of
old?
white grandma.
No, they're not all old. Actually, a lot of them are young. Look, the one on the
I
No,
left
a
is
lot
saw
of
the
them
young.
third
are
one.
behind.
Which one?
Yo,
Which
there's
one?
no way the woman at the far end is Aboriginal.
Yeah, that's
There's
not
no way
Aboriginal.
the woman in the
Look,
red is
look,
They look.
Aboriginal.
you got a
They look like
page
Yeah,
full of
this is not. This is not.
grandmas.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, go down. There's a family there. That's it. That's represented. Yeah, there's a family there. Like yeah.
The family
See,
of
they look
grandmas.
like. I mean,
The family of old people. They're all old, bro.
Look, this is why
Keizo,
okay.
this is why this is petty. I bet you your grandma looks similar too.
No. Okay, look at that. That one on the left.
Keizo,
That's not old.
Keizo.
You
I
tell
think
your
only you
grandma
would get this joke.
all the
This is
time. She
wrong,
look just
man.
like them women.
Keizo, I think only you would
Look at
get
that one
this
on the left.
joke.
That's not
This is
old.
what
On the
too
left
much.
and on the right. That's what the hell is that, man?
Yo, what the fuck? Keizo, I think only you would get this joke. This is what too much toad chakra does to you, man.
Yeah,
Oh my god. Well,
it looks like that.
Yo, you
Um,
can't tell
Naruto,
me.
man.
You can't tell me this isn't what a Neanderthal used to look like, bro. Hell no.
Of course. I mean, yeah. So okay, I think I get your points, right?
All
But
I'm saying is that
Right.
it's incumbent upon every group of women to look their best for me. It is, and there's really no buts after that. And what I'm saying is collectively, y'all not doing it enough, Black women. Y'all not only are y'all not looking good enough for me on a day-to-day, but furthermore, you're not putting your best fruit out there, and you're letting people display your bruised fruit far too often. Y'all need to stop it. Y'all need to stop doing that. Y'all need to show and display and showcase your best and brightest and biggest booty chronically. Y'all need to inundate us with your Thelma, not Thelma Jefferson, Thelma from Good Times. Y'all need to just saturate the market with y'all best and behaved. That's what y'all need to do to
So I got a
change the
question.
in a positive way. I got an answer.
Okay, you do talk about this a lot. So what is your average that you've been smashing?
Uh-oh.
6, 7,
Oh my God.
8, 9, or 10.
Well, I won't
6, 7, 8.
give it. I won't put a number on it. I will say that
No, game changer.
I will no. I won't put a number on it, LAR, because that's a fluctuating scale. But I will say this.
Give me an average.
I can't. I will. Okay, I do only smash above average women. I will say this. I don't bang fat chicks. I've had friends come on my show to confirm this. I do not bang fat chicks.
I know. I remember that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
okay,
So,
average above average could be 6.
okay, just 6. I mean, that's fine. Nevertheless, I bang above average, but that's not the point. The point is women should look their best. If 6 is the best you can do, then be a 6. However, there are potential 6s out there that won't put in the gym time or the proper makeup or the proper, hygiene and routine beauty regimen to even maximize their sixness. They don't, unfortunately. And that's all I'm asking. I don't ask for genetic qualities that a person simply doesn't possess. I'm asking for Black women to look their best. And in the countries, I always give props to Black women and cultures of Black women who maximize their beauty. I always give props to that. I always give shout outs to Ethiopia and
I
Eritrea.
asked that because I'm asking a bigger question. How often do you come across 6s and up?
I come across one maybe like 3 or 4 times a week. Oh, you mean how often do I run across them? My mistake.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying come across them. That was very personal. But no.
You don't get your bang bros ass up out of here.
All right. I will say not too often, LAR. However, it's because of my lifestyle. I work from home and I'm at home a lot. I will say if I were like doing the things that I used to do, I did come across them a lot more often, but these were active events. Like I used to hike, for example. So of course you're going to find like more attractive women there than otherwise. Now, in just general grocery store passing, maybe 1 every 10 days.
You act like you went to the grocery store 10 days in a row.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't go to the grocery store in 10 days. And that's why I like to put numbers on it, because my perception isn't really that of the average person.
Can I ask you brothers a question about marketing and everything? Because I hear Black women, men too, sometimes talk about like the so-called Western beauty standards, right? Now the issue is, right, whenever they talk about the Western beauty standard, they're still operating under the white gay man type, right? Tall woman, sort of slender body, no ass, no hips, beautiful face. Why can't Blacks in general, I'm talking about Africans here, especially since you guys have a market, why don't you project like I mean, I'm in Kenya right now. I see big booty bitches everywhere with a cute face and they're tall enough and they look good, right? If you put a product with that woman on, I'll buy that product way over this skinny, dusty European woman, right? Because the issue is with playing onto the game of like what they, again, white gay man thing, rather than actually creating. Look, if you want actual attraction that's going to make you want to buy a product, I'd rather have all the stuff that I see over here every day.
The answer to your question is it's not a singular thing here. It's like put the model of capitalism even to that. So what you're seeing where you're from is that's the white beauty standards. But in America, like there are multiple beauty standards. They just project one abroad. So if you went to a store in America, they used to do this, but they stopped it because they had a magazine section. They used to have like a bunch of different, the low riders was the Hispanic chicks. Those were the chicks in the bikini. The Sports Illustrated and something else, I forget what it was the white chicks. The Black women was in like it was the Source, but it was another, it was like Black Tails or something. But what they would do is the low rider would have a cover, the white ones would have a cover, but they'll put a plastic cover over the Black ones. They're all in swimsuits, but they'll put a plastic cover over the Black ones because she had more body than them. So those beauty standards do exist in America. It's just you don't see them, I'm guessing, from your end, and you don't see the tactics that go on here from your end to act like they don't exist.
Let me try to play this this video because we didn't get the and then your deep sleep you can make a comment. But I think adult supervision is trolling here, saying that the Aboriginal women, I don't know if this is what he's referring to. You know how plants have like poison or they taste bitter or something, and to protect the herd, that the Aboriginal women look that way to.
It didn't help because they got
themselves.
extinct. They still got genocided, so it didn't help.
Bieber just shared her go-to fall lip combo, and she's calling it brownie glazed.
White women, quick question. What would you do if you couldn't co-opt Black women and Latina women? Because what the fuck is this? I swear to God, if I start seeing people call brown lip liners and gloss brownie glazed lips, I'm gonna fucking commit and I'm running someone fade. Y'all watch one season of fucking Euphoria and think, oh my God, this is so trendy. Where the fuck do you think you got it from? Be for real. It was Black and brown women doing it. It was ghetto when we were mocked and ridiculed. You know, same top 40 hits run that shit. But now it's a part of your clean girl aesthetic, so you want to rebrand it. Girl, go to hell. If we needed or wanted a rebranding, we'd do it ourselves. Think so. Y'all will do anything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I can't take what she says seriously because she's fat. So
She's so ugly, man. God damn.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Like, stuff matters more. Attractive women's opinions and comments and things like that matters more than lesser attractive women. They just do. You know, like Kamala Harris used to be hot. Beautiful women are better at being women, and therefore they are more valuable. So why is she saying stuff? And I could tell you why she's saying stuff. Because attractiver Black women don't care. Attractiver Black women just wear their lipstick and they live off of their pretty privileges and they don't give a shit. She's looking for each and every single advantage, dating, mating, relating, and otherwise, in the market. She's hoping that her lipstick will get men to overlook her everything elseness. We're not. If she's she's like, oh no, I don't want them to wear the same lipstick as me because then we're on an even playing field and I'll lose. You're never on an even playing field as long as you're fat. Like, so stop it with.
I got $20 that says in 2 years we're gonna find out Game Changer has a BBW fetish.
I do not. Trust me. No, trust
2
me.
years from now.
No. Listen, my cousin had a BBW fetish. He's the same age as me, and when we were growing up, he had a crush on Natalie from The Facts of Life. Like, guys who have it, they know. But no, I always had like the Lisa Turtle or the Rudy Huxtable thing going on. I always liked that. Trust me, life would be easier for me, a lot easier for me if I was into Hungry Hippos. Like, it would be, but I'm not. And
they ain't got to be hungry. They could just be a little hungry.
I don't know. Man, you don't get that big not being hungry. Let's just.
But not gonna lie, speaking about a little hungry, right? Raven Simone. Simone, when she started getting just a little thick, like I like that look, that kind of, but anyways, she was a little young back then, but maybe I
prefer the supermodel look, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
Well, okay, so on that show she was talking about Euphoria, there's a white chick on there who's not skinny, she got body for days, and yeah, I like that.
I know you're not bringing white women into this. White women think too.
She brought him in there. When she said Euphoria. She said, you watch one episode of Euphoria. To me, that thick white chick that's with that football player black dude is like, goddamn.
Oh, hell no. Yeah. Wait, I bring up a picture of that.
When did you start looking at white women and them doing it too, Game Changer? When did that happen?
I look at attractive women. And that is an attractive white woman.
I got a question. I got a good question for you.
Go for it.
So, you didn't like pre-Adele, but did you like post-Adele?
Who's
Adele is better.
Who's Adele?
That singer, I think.
Oh, the singer, man. Come on. Don't be just. Okay. Don't butcher it, bro.
My fat is gone.
Did you like?
So I looked up a picture. I looked up a picture of her. She's older. I have to find like a younger picture of her.
No, she was fat when she was younger. So
she was fat when she was younger, bro. She actually looks younger now.
Yeah. So no. Okay. Well, like what's her not Effie White, but what's her name that played Effie White? Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson looks a lot better now that she maximized her beauty.
What about Lizzo?
Huh?
Isn't she beautiful, Lizzo?
Hell no. She could be beautiful though.
I don't know.
You know what the sad thing is about Lizzo? She actually has potential, man.
I don't.
See, we got a BBW fetish right here on the panel. He just had it.
Yeah, I don't see a fat woman's face. Maybe I don't judge their potential. It is incumbent of every fat bitch to lose weight for me. That's their duty, and until they do, they're derelict. And what I'm saying is there's far too many derelict chicks complaining. Like it's not a matter of your lips, it's all the shit around your lips that's unattractive.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll have to kind of on the weight issue for sure, game changer. I don't think there's a man that typically, average man agrees with you, right? And especially, being married myself, I can tell you that it is more important, as Kevin Samuels used to point out, because if you don't have that standard, because you're going to have kids and stuff, and then you're going to balloon up. If you don't have the standard, then it's just going to be, it's all up, from here, so with that standard, They know that they got to come back down. And then, maybe the whole childbearing years, maybe there's a little extra, you don't come all the way back down. But then afterwards, you're expected that you're going to come back all the way down. Otherwise, we know how people are, and also women in particular, right? They're not gonna put it upon themselves to make their lives harder when they already got the man and they can divorce you and take half your crap, right? So I think that the standard of the weight thing is very important, whether you're just smashing, but even more so when you're,
I would say
it's
true,
extraordinarily important.
but we have one problem here in America. If active, most men are inactive and want women to be active, and most of the country is overweight. So if you want an active woman and you're not active, understand she's going to be active with another dude.
Wait, when you say active, you mean like during, conjugal rights, right? Not like typically.
No, what I mean is most Americans are out of shape, and most men in America want women who are in shape, and those men are out of shape. So if you want a woman who's in shape and you're not, she's probably going to be getting banged by somebody in shape.
Okay, I mean that's advice. That's good advice for a man that's out of shape.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, I mean, no. So all of you out of shape brothers, I guess, get in shape. However, in the Black community, we're the only community where the women are fatter than the men per capita. And keep in mind that yes. You ever seen
we have
a 60%. They have an 80%.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And
but the Hispanic community is the same as us as far as the women are bigger than the guys.
No, okay, maybe they're bigger, but they don't have the same percentage of fat chicks. They don't have more fat Latinas than they do fat non-Latinas. And that's the same. What? Excuse me. There are more percent-wise fat Latinos than there are Latinas, is what I'm saying. We're the only ones where we have a higher obesity and fat rate. Now, keep in mind also that muscle weighs. So these Terry Crews niggas are showing up on the obesity scale, even though they have a low body fat as percentage. So when you take down our, big muscle dudes or our BABGs, when you take those into consideration, we are a lot healthier than our women, which means that there aren't enough in shape Black women for my penis. And that is a problem. That is a problem throughout the diaspora, that they have to work on. Outside of that, their complaints mean nothing because the complaints of a fat woman are irrelevant unless they're complaining about the taste of food. Outside of that, it doesn't matter. You can't complain about the economy. You can't complain about gas prices in California because it all comes back to you. Gas prices are high in California because you're fat. Everything you do is wrong at the point of being fat.
I get that, but right now you said you got keyboard muscles. You're gonna have to take a little chubbiness.
What do you mean I got keyboard? Okay. I think you're under the impression. When I say active, I'm talking about active in like events that others frequent, like hiking. But no, I do work out, LAR. Let's not kid. So yeah.
Plus also diet. Diet is a huge issue.
And I'm on keto right now. Here, I will show you my keto meter. Hold on.
Lazy people
no one cares about that,
man. Crazy.
Game changer. What LR is trying to say is, you're a fat Black man who's out here trying to find skinny white.
Dog. You know what keto is?
It's a
Keto
fat
is
chess
what white.
piece.
Keto is what white dudes do to try to act like they're trying to get in shape. So how
He's a
keto do
black
what
chess
white
piece
dudes do? The white man does
on
it
his.
too.
He's a black chess piece over there on the shadow. He's a-
It's a fatter one.
You hater.
Yo, this is a serious question.
You damn right. Damn right is what
The
white
thick girl, you guys say.
You see, when something works, I do it, just like white people. White people see something that works and they do it. That's why they study Brazilian jiu-jitsu, or like we say, Chinese kung fu fighting. They see something that works and they do it. Like,
No, they
yes,
call the cops when they act like they're trying to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu and get hit in the mouth. That's what they do.
Okay,
They're not good at keto because they gave it up because it doesn't work.
Collectively.
All right, wait, hold on a second. Deep Sleep, you have a question?
Yo, if the thick girl you guys are all talking about in Euphoria is the one I'm looking at right now, they did the black character dirty, man. This girl is average at she's below average, man.
Hold on, let me see who you're talking about.
Is she like a redhead or something?
I'm not looking at her here. I think she's.
What about all these movies where like it's fat black people all over the place, like Madea movies, Tyler Perry movies, all these. There's always fat black
Madea
people.
is
all
Tyler
over the
Perry.
place.
That's the same person.
Oh right. Okay. Basically, all these black movies, Precious, the new Nigerian movie, TV series, in the UK called Abishola and Bob. All of them are Neighborhood. It's just always some fat. It's just there isn't like a good marketing, and if it's a beautiful black woman, it's usually kind of ratchet, and she looks like a peacock or something, which isn't good either. With nails longer than my future, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Keizo, all I wanted to say was, look,
they need to promote the Claire Huxtables more. That's what they need to do. They need to promote the non-lawyer Claire Huxtable chicks more and better, and stop promoting women that look like this. It's a poor representation.
Yeah, look how bad, Ike. This is, how bad this looks, man. Let's just look at the dominant society. If they looked at this clip of the white chick and then this she-beast looking black chick rolling her eyes with clown makeup on, chatting shit.
And blonde eyebrows.
I'm going to be serious for 2 seconds. I'm dead serious.
What is going on with her face, man?
I know what I'm talking about. Do you remember in the 90s, in the early 2000s, how they started taking the women out of the movies? Because around that time, they had a lot of black female sex symbols. And actually, the number one probably that era was Kenya Moore. They started to take them out of movies, television shows. They were in music videos. That used to be a regular thing, to the point that white women actually couldn't compete.
Well, okay, so in the 90s, see, when black women did more to look hotter in the 90s, and white women could not compete. No. You're right. So listen. I give black women their roses. Hey, shout out to Stacey Dash, whoever that other white bitch was in Clueless. You outdid her, and you had like 10 years on her. Salute to you for that. Salute to Lisa Turtle. You were surrounded by white chicks, and you were unquestionably the hottest. So yes, when they put you into the room with the hottest white chicks, you always prevail. But that's because they are sending their best. They're sending their Lisa Turtles and Stacey Dashes and stuff like that. So and we do win. The problem is that black women support their worst. That's not me. So black women support their worst. They don't just promote their best. They need to put their best fruit out there and stop selling us these Medea looking bitches. Stop. What they do is they have this weird solidarity with each other. In the black community, if you smack a fat bitch, a skinny one will say, ouch. It's not the same. It's not the same. You are not in a sisterhood with us. We're the only community where birds of a feather don't flock together. You have peacocks flocking with penguins. You have peacocks flocking with turkeys. You have parakeets flocking with crows. Like they need to just get a collection of black beautiful women and then tell the non so beautiful women you can't sit with us, and until they get hotter.
That's what they that kind of stuff doesn't exist like it used to. I get that.
Yeah.
But you know what? A game changer. It's kind of interesting. If you compare the Ethiopian Airlines to the Kenyan Airlines, man, you know the first things you're gonna notice. Guess.
What the
The
women?
women,
The women, the Kenyan
the
Airlines will just
hostesses.
they pick any monkey that they find on the streets. It's women that look clap.
Yes, yes.
And
And
you look at the Ethiopian Airlines, like one of my exes, she used to work there, right? You look there, these women look good, as in none
Hey,
of them look
Kizo, I'm
clap.
not gonna lie.
Zero.
Yep.
Even the girl I was with when I was in Ethiopia, she was also an air hostess, man.
Yeah, they look good, but you compare them to Kenyan Airlines, it's like
Kizo,
no.
not just that. They are the ones that they use for all branding and marketing. When you see an Ethiopian airline poster,
Exactly.
well, they don't put any pilot there. They put the women there, and the most attractive one too.
Yeah. And
Exactly, because the people at the airlines know. They like, listen, we are people come here for layovers, meaning people are coming to Ethiopia because it's a coastal country. They're coming to Ethiopia on the way to somewhere else, many people. So we want to represent ourselves in the best possible light. It's nothing wrong with being shallow. There was an Olympics that took place in China, and they told a 9-year-old girl that she was too damn ugly, and then they had her sing while a better looking 9-year-old, whatever the fuck that means, was lip syncing. Was lip syncing for that. They was like, you are such an unfortunate looking 9-year-old with a great voice. We do not want you to represent our country. That's how fucked up they are. But I'm sorry. We need a little bit of that savage cutthroatness. We do.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? That's why I brought up Kenya, because there's no white supremacy or anything like that. Kenyan women are beautiful, right? I see very many beautiful women. You look at the airline. The only beautiful Kenyan women you find are the ones in Qatar Airlines. If you want to see a beautiful Kenyan airline, it's on Qatar.
Look, Keizo, you know, my mom was actually joking about this once, where she said, you know how airlines have like for your bags, they have like a weight limit, right? My mom was like, yo, they must have a weight limit for these air hostesses here, because all of them were like skinny, bro. I think there is a beauty standard, bro. They're not going to let any fat bitch just be an air hostess.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many blankets she could fold per second or whatever, or how many drinks she can pour you in a turbulent flight. It doesn't matter.
Here's the irony of what y'all saying. I've heard all the beautiful women in plenty of places, but game changer. Tell me if I'm lying. How will Kenyan and Ethiopian women be portrayed in the media in America?
Well, I don't really know. So if they do have Ethiopian actresses and models or something like that, I think that they just kind of like blend in with the more attractive Black American ones, and we don't really recognize them as Ethiopian.
I don't see any fat Kenyan women. Like Lupita is probably the ugliest one I know.
Oh, she's from Kenya.
Ethiopians, you know what they do? They do the poverty thing.
Yeah, but that's because these people are like dying.
Because they are poor.
Kenyans, you know what they do?
These Ethiopians, man, like they're literally dying right now. There's the biggest. There's literally the biggest. Wait, there's the biggest drought right now going on in Horn of Africa, North Kenya, Ethiopia, Somali. These niggas are literally looking like sticks, like those cheese sticks.
Yo,
man.
Well, yeah.
You know what this nigga said? North Kenya, like it's the whole of Ethiopia when he said Ethiopia, though.
But no, I mean, the fly face kids in on the commercials that you're talking about, LAR, like those kids, those Ethiopian kids, they've been replaying those commercials since the 70s. I know who you're talking about.
No.
I go off of what they choose. I mean, like if you can't really stop a white person from going to an impoverished country and then pointing the camera at the kid with the flies on his face. You can't stop about the kid with flies on his face. What I am saying is that when Ethiopia women come here, and at least the ones I see in like music videos and stuff like that, they are bad as hell. They are bad as hell, like ridiculous. I'm talking about like when I go get some samosas, the waitresses and stuff are bad. and they weren't
Right.
selected. Look, they just so happens to be the owner's daughter and shit. But
No, I get it. You're
Yeah.
right. What I'm saying is, if they get this up to put them on TV, basically in America, the face of Ethiopia right now is the dude from the I Am the Captain Now dude. That's the men and the women.
Bro, that's Somalia, man.
That's
What the
Somalia.
fuck, bro?
That's Somali.
Get your country right.
I know this. That's my point.
Bro, that's Somalia. No.
That's
You're not
Somalia.
going to
That's
put that
my
on us,
different.
bro. It's Somalia.
That's a war zone.
It's all the
average-
same.
the
That's
average
it.
white
It's
person
all the
knows the
same, bro.
difference.
You're not
No,
hearing
All
me.
y'all
Fuck
niggas
no.
over there.
There you go. That's my point. With Kenya,
No, it's not.
it's just gonna be a woman, a skinny woman built like an old version of a white chick, super skinny, and hopefully she got a pretty face, but she ain't got no chest and no butt or no legs. That's how they do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Here's what I mean. Yeah, there may be a negative engine to present Africans in a bad light. However, but because the women maximize their beauty when they present themselves, every opportunity I see, every chance I see, each and every aspect of their promotion that they have control over, they maximize it. Which is why Ethiopians are Eritreans is number one, Ethiopians is number two, and half Black and Filipina is number three, and then Brazilian and Colombian, and then so forth, all the way down to Black American chicks. And that's because they're not putting in the work. They're not putting in the effort. You know, they just don't. And they need
And who's
to.
the most beautiful African in America? Is it Charlize Theron or Scarlett Johansson? Which one of them from South Africa?
Oh, I don't know. When I say African, I'm really talking about African
I
descent,
know.
not post-colonial African.
I know,
You know.
but that's my
Game
point.
changer. You should look into South African women. I mean, they have the best body types, as in like.
Yeah,
really
game
nice
changer. You're
boobs.
sleeping on some regions, man. You
Trust
need
me,
to
South
explore a
Africans,
little bit.
No, South Africa is westernized, from what I hear.
all right.
Because it's British colonial, just like we are. So I'm pretty sure that the women there are just as fucked up. So
Yeah,
Nigeria is westernized. They speak.
it was colonized, but not to the extent of South Africa.
No,
Okay.
Nigeria still has like child
Wait.
marriage and
Who
stuff.
did the guy say? He said Charlie Theron, and who was the other lady?
One of them is
Scarlett
from South
Johansson, I
Africa.
believe.
Scarlett Johansson. One of
Who?
them from South Africa.
Scarlett Johansson is from South Africa. No, I know Charlie Theron is from.
That's the most
She's
beautiful
Afrikaner.
African in America. If you let folks
Yeah,
tell
I
you.
agree.
Yeah,
Tell
she's
you.
Afrikaner.
I agree. Scarlett
Yeah,
Johansson
but that's good.
is downright gorgeous.
How's
Now,
no? How's Scarlett
also
Johansson
think-
I
African?
didn't say she wasn't looking. She didn't look good. I said she's the most beautiful African in America.
Okay.
How is she African?
I don't
No,
know.
no, no,
Because
no.
that's
will
how
say-
she's
have you looked
viewed
at-
here.
No,
okay,
that's
so
some really
she's
beautiful
definitely
models
the
in
most
Africa.
attractive
Where's Scarlett Johansson from?
She's the most attractive white woman that I know of. Scarlett Johansson, Jessica Alba being a close.
Where's she from?
I think South Africa. One of them from South Africa.
No, Charlie Theron is an Afrikaner from South Africa. That she even
Okay.
speaks Afrikaans. Scarlett Johansson. I don't think Scarlett Johansson is from Africa, bro. That's why I'm asking where's she
Whichever
from.
one of them are from South Africa. In America, she's the most beautiful African in America.
Dude, Charlie
Including
Theron is
everybody else
literally.
on the continent.
I'm sure she was like a Victoria's Secret model before she even started acting.
So
So she was hot regardless, bro. She's hot even on American stand. Like
maybe you don't
even
either.
amongst American
Wait,
women,
I
she's like.
is more
don't know. I
beautiful
don't want to
than
disturb you.
Naomi
Can you
Campbell
type in
ever
East
was,
African
and
models?
Iman ever
Please,
was.
if you can,
in
just
America.
okay.
East African, okay.
Models, or click on the link I sent. now.
Not Nilots this time in particular.
No, just East African. Nilos is too dark skinned. You want something that looks
But
a bit.
okay,
You know,
Okay, so
closer to
this is the
white.
thing. Charlie Theron didn't become famous because of her beauty. Okay, that got her through the door. But the reason we know her is because she acted in a few movies.
True.
Like if she was just a model, none of us here would know
Yeah,
her.
people wouldn't know. No, you're correct. You're correct.
In
Because you have to have
America,
Of course,
the
she'd
she's
swag.
still
the
be rich.
Eminem of black women in Africa. You understand what I'm telling you?
Bro, when they advertise her, you wouldn't even know she's African. Come on, man. What are you talking
Here,
about?
Even Elon Musk is the richest African in the world, right?
Exactly. Does Elon Musk advertise himself as an African? No.
Nope. But he's an African. He's Afrikaans.
What I'm saying is that women who get the collective thumbs up from men, they present their best women. You know, black women, they hide their worst. You know, like they hide their fly-faced kids in Ethiopia. Now, every now and again, a white man will sneak his camera through and see some weird ass shit. But no, they
these are beautiful women. That's how women needs to be looking like, man. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ethiopian women is just goddamn. That's just some like ridiculous goddamnness. You know, look at that. This one. See, this is why Eritrean women win, because sometimes they be on that forehead shit. Look at that forehead. But I'm telling you, like
forehead. She ain't fat.
No, I know. Listen, I don't knock a woman for poor genetics. I'm just saying I'm not gonna overlook. I know she can't help it. I'm just not gonna overlook the forehead. Rihanna got a forehead. It's not a deal breaker. I'm just saying, like, Eritrean women tend to be like less forehead. That's all I'm saying. That's
okay, type in Eritrean models. Let's see Eritrean models.
Just put a palm on it.
Let's see Eritrean models.
Hold up, man.
Guess what?
That you ever talk
Smaller
to.
forehead.
Huh?
I'm starting to think that your right hand is the most attractive woman you'll ever give a pass to.
You goddamn right. You goddamn right.
You know
Make
what?
no mistake. No. Listen to me good, LAR. Make no mistake. I have no secret about it. I can always imagine a hotter bitch than the one I'm fucking. You are damn right. In my imagination, in my jack-offedness, I am the king. I get dimes every day with my fucking right hand. You are goddamn right. My right hand do more for me than my dick ever could, and my mouthpiece and my looks could ever get me. You know, I'm fucking an Ethiopian bitch every night with my right hand, a different one. You are damn right. And I have no shame to do that. Anybody ever say that they fuck better than they can imagine themselves fucking is lying.
Well,
can I just ask LA one question, man? Why do you expect white people to ever uplift or the image of black women? When you say Charlie Theron is like the peak of sexiness amongst Africans, of course she's going to be that for an American population, man, which is majority white. Like that's something you would expect.
Okay. Maybe
if they start selling me products with that body type there and that cute enough face, I'll buy it.
The point that I'm making, so I'm gonna make it a little more clear, even with the African thing. She's from quote unquote South Africa. That's an African issue that abroad that she's the most beautiful African. That's not an American issue. See what I'm saying?
Yes, a white person in Africa, a white person in America has all the right to think she's the hottest person. The hottest woman in Africa. That makes sense. Why shouldn't they uplift their own?
In America, that will probably go in Central and South America, that will probably go in Europe, that will probably go in Asia, and that will probably go in Australia. See what I'm saying?
And
that ain't an American issue then. That'll be an African issue. You should be uplifting your people in that whole
Africans. Okay, but Africans are not saying that Charlie Theron. The average African doesn't even know who Charlie Theron is, bro. And the average African is not trying to uplift Charlie Theron over whatever their tribe's women is or etc. So when you say it's an African issue, no. White media is the most globalized media out there. They pretty much have dominant narrative. So therefore, they're going to promote their women anyway. The hottest women, according to white media, even probably in South America, is the whitest chick you could probably find. It's not some Mexican looking or it's not some mestizo looking chick. It's a blonde. Shakira is probably the hottest chick in Colombia.
Actually,
Shakira probably made what she made. Shakira only became famous because she was a blonde, blue-eyed chick. If she was some mestizo looking chick, she wouldn't be famous.
Now, at this particular point, actually the most famous and beautiful Hispanic chick is dead, and it's in the standard is Selena. That's the standard.
Wait, Gomez?
Yeah, she's still white looking, man. Stop.
Wait,
she's like Mediterranean white looking.
Selena Gomez.
Who? Selena Gomez.
Oh, which one?
Selena, not Selena Gomez. Selena.
Oh, okay. I was gonna see.
Bro, nobody knows who the fuck that is, man.
This is
I don't know Selena. I don't know who that is.
This guy's coming up with some random chick.
No, I'm not. Selena is basically equivalent.
Talks about his neighbor. It's like Selena from down the street.
Wait, isn't she dead? Wait, isn't she dead?
Got a blind spot.
Hold on,
Hey,
hold on.
is she-
Let me run his bike.
Is she alive?
No, she got killed in like the
No
early.
one gives a fuck.
No, not her.
No one
I'm
gives a
just
fuck,
telling
man.
No, this is not her. Listen, when I type in most beautiful black women, and Essence magazine, which is a black woman magazine, this is what they put. Dorothy Dandridge, and I agree, she was, she was a classic beauty. She's from like the 50s or some shit like that. That's why it's in black and white. But this was one of the most beautiful women of her time and possibly of all time. Right?
She's cute. She has nice boobs. Yeah, I like her.
This is number one. Number two, what the fuck? What the fuck? Y'all shoot yourself when y'all do stupid ass shit.
This is bullshit, man.
When you do stupid
Come on, man.
Wait.
This is wrong, man.
Wait. Is this like the most influential or what's
Nope. Look. Most 30 most beautiful black women. And this is what they do. They do this to themselves, and that's number two. So watch this. Number three, Michelle Obama again with an uglier picture. Fucking self.
Yeah, she looks like
number four, Michelle Obama again with a worse picture.
Now you're playing fake news, game changer.
Oh man, this has got to be a troll.
News.
There'll be some kind of troll.
This is Essence magazine. I didn't make this website.
Who is it? Sade is cool.
Yeah, this one's okay.
No, and then they go back to normal. But what I'm saying is they promote their average at best bitches.
God.
They did Michelle Obama 3 times. Why? And they put her in number 2. Like she's hotter. They're essentially saying that she's hotter than Sade.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't Sade from Brazil?
And then look
she's
at
Nigerian.
She's Nigerian.
Okay. Why would people say
black women?
Okay.
It says black women. So and then they do Pam Grier. Do y'all know who Pam Grier is in color? That is ridiculous.
Yeah, she's the hottest.
Oh, and Pam Grier, LAR, Pam Grier, she got the right hand. Like all of my puberty, she got that right hand. That's for damn sure. Fuck with
Game case. I just want you to know this, just between me and you, bro. If we ever meet in person, I'm not shaking your hand. Just for the record.
Man. Now I'm gonna think about that every meeting I go to. Shaking all these dudes' hands.
All right.
He used to wear a glove and all those cartoons.
Hey, Michael Jackson was right, man.
Oh man, all right. I'm not gonna pretend. I'm not gonna be one of those.
No, but I think you made your point. Game changer. Now I can believe you. Most of these are either old, unattractive, and they kind of put way unattractive people above the attractive ones. There's clearly an element whereby, like I mentioned, even in Kenyan Airlines, why are these people choosing ugly bitches when like the average Kenyan woman looks good? It's just I think they conflate competence in some skill factor. I think this is like modern feminism nonsense, whereby a woman thinks her value is within what she's bringing to the greater whatever cause, as opposed to the actual essence. We're talking about beauty, right?
Look, that bitch Michelle Obama actually thinks she's better than Barack. That bitch actually thinks that. It's all up in her book, and all the freaking feminist bitches out there think the same thing, and they think they are some kind of Michelle, and they are better, and they sacrifice so that Barack will be president. That stupid bitch.
Exactly. And what I'm saying is, black women.
Well, she's not fat though.
This image. They need to avoid this image.
I'll give her that.
They need to, no, I do too. But they need to avoid this image. They need to, when this is a topic of beauty, they need to promote their most beautiful. If it was a topic of competence, then yes, she would be up there, definitely. I mean, but they try to conflate the two, and they try to get us to embrace a beauty standard that's not based on beauty. And it's not going to work. I know what beauty is, and beauty is pleasing to my eyes and my penis. That is what beauty is. You can't tell me otherwise. You can't tell me, but she's smart. I don't give a shit when I'm talking about beauty. Like every
I don't trust your beauty standard because it comes with 4 fingers and a thumb.
No. My beauty standard is what I imagine when I am using my 4 fingers and a thumb. That is
I don't
the
trust
beauty
that kind of
standard.
beauty standard.
Huh?
I don't trust your beauty standard because it's 4 fingers. You could be doing that to anime for all. It doesn't even matter.
Well, what if I am? It's still my beauty standard.
You watching
Hey,
Street Fighter?
don't sleep on some hentai now.
Exactly. No.
Hey, yo,
Like,
stop, man.
see, here's the thing, LAR, you're trying to jack shame me. There is no I am ashamed of nothing that I listen. You don't know the half of it. Do you know how fucked up my imagination is?
Wait, is
It's
that
First of
how
all,
chicken
I don't
came
want to know
to
the half of it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to know the half of the point is that it's no shame in it. Yes, I jack off and I think of a lot of nasty shit that I never done in real life and probably never will do in real life when I do it. Bitches got 3 titties when I jack off, okay? Don't even come like that. Like, it's all kind of shit.
Whoa.
You damn right.
That's right. Wait. You've been watching Total Recall.
And I've been watching
Hey, we all remember Hey, LAR, we all remember those titties, bro.
Exactly. You remember it. But no, I was getting it from Good Luck Chuck. Good Luck Chuck, she had 3 titties too. And that's a later movie. But you always remember 3 titties, and yes, you can jack off to that shit. And fellas, you are free. You are free. Your imagination is where you are free to do whatever the fuck you want to. And yes, that's what I want to do, and it's my business. The fuck? I'm not gonna be ashamed of that. What goes on in a man's imagination is his business.
Look, can I just say one thing? I feel like this whole thing of I think the whole idea of putting Michelle in that list was brought from the same reason why, like, men are probably to a certain extent, men become more attractive if they have an enhanced level of competency. Like, it probably bumps up your attractiveness. Bro, that shit does not apply to women. That shit will never apply to women. Never in life will a woman's attractiveness be bumped up by competency. A man will go for a dumber, hot-looking wife than his intellectual peer that is average-looking. That is just a fact.
And the worst part is,
you gotta add something to that. Just add
issue is
Meghan Markle and Lisa Ray to that, because part of it, it ain't the competence. It's wanting to be a princess or a queen se in power.
I like the way Meghan Markle looks.
And on top of that, what the fuck did Michelle Obama say in her book?
I'm talking about
why would
I'm sorry.
Why would the first lady even need a book? Like, she sucked the dick of the man who's in charge. Who the fuck cares? What is she going to put in?
That is the thing. Like, Laura Bush didn't go right after writing a book, for example, or all that kind of stuff. Hillary Clinton, you can say at least she was doing something. She became a senator, blah blah, all this type of stuff. But Michelle, there's a typical kind of thing. Look, the whole book was basically I sacrificed my life so that my dumb husband could be president.
Shut the fuck up. What lawyer job could she have ever done that could have brought her the same level of prominence?
She was maybe the second best looking first lady of all time.
Oh, who's the first? Melania Trump or which one?
No, not at the, I'm talking about at the time.
Okay, at the time.
The other one was the one that
Jackie?
That people, yes.
Jackie Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
JFK's wife.
Everybody else was just hood bookers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. Well, Melania Trump, she's not too bad, although she kind of has that kind of like Botox look. That's the issue.
Yeah, she has the kind of like bronze Botox.
I mean, she's like in her 50s or something now.
Oh, right, yeah, that makes sense. Like grandma energy. But yeah, so it's the interesting thing is, like, I think this is the issue with black women. And I think Game Changer, you are right. Why?
Like her husband became president, and she still was. It was still like a thing.
Yeah.
How does she justify her feeling like she sacrificed for him? Like, what could she have ever done
and
in her life?
helped him become president?
Bro,
instead of
Keizo, sacrifice. Keizo, no. The word sacrifice means you could have achieved something greater, but you gave it up for this one thing here. What in her life?
She could have moved women much further with her. This and that. I mean, you already know. You don't even have to. You know the propaganda.
I'm about to say, you don't get it yet. She could have been Shaq. She could have been Oprah. You know what I'm saying? She could have been Denzel Washington. She could have been anything if it wasn't for him. You don't get that yet. She could have been Tom
That's some
Brady.
ungrateful shit right there.
Shout out to John and Zola. Okay. Well, if you don't know these brothers, you need to know them and subscribe to the channel. We got LAR and Game Changer. And thank you for the $1.99. You're saying, Ike, where'd you find these brothers? They're funny AF. Yes. Go ahead and subscribe to LAR and Game Changer for more fun. But sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead. but perhaps you can start landing the plane. It's been a pretty good conversation, right?
Let's land in Ethiopia. Let's not land in Kenya.
Wow.
Gonna get disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, the Ethiopian Airlines thing it's not fair in a certain way because, anyways, it's kind of
fairness, right? Actually, it's fair.
No. I'm not. I just mean for, like you're a man. You go in there. There's all kinds of stuff that happens. Let me put it this way. Something about airplanes. Pardon me. What'd you say?
You say it's all kind of stuff that happens at an Ethiopian airport. What kind of stuff?
No. I'm saying there's something about an well, this is for me, right? A personal thing about it. There's something about libraries and airplanes that just kind of get me going in a weird way already, right? I don't know why. Like in I'm in a library, it's really quiet, and then a chick walks by. Like I could have seen this chick in the cafeteria. I wouldn't have looked at her. But in the library, there's just something like, it's just like, I don't know, I think something about the quiet. You just want to like grab her and, anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
I think you know what I mean. And the airplane too. So you're already in this situation where it's kind of like whatever. And then this freaking lady's coming over. She's all hot. She's asking you stuff. She's, you're rubbing up against her in the aisle and shit. Like, it's just not right.
Right. No, but and I think it's so. Like, if we go on about the purpose of for a job, because you mentioned fairness, I don't think you were going to go there, but we kind of alluded from going there. I think the Ethiopian model is the fair model in terms of for the woman actually, because that's part of the job. You're representing your country. Your job is to look good, to attract more customers, to make sure that more people choose to use your airline in the future as opposed to another airline where everything else is equal. So that is their job. You're an ambassador of looks, etc. And I think if Black women in general, right, get that same attitude as what Ethiopia Airlines has, I think that's what's going to keep doing things better. Like I mentioned with the Kenyan women, that you're going to see them in Qatar Airlines, but they all look good. They don't choose the ones who, a clap. And I think that's actually how we or women in the West needs to start sort of, policing each other. And I think this is the same thing with the Kevin Samuels thing. It's like women are just not policing each other in any kind of significant way. First of all, everyone thinks she's a 10, right? I even brought this up in my channel the other day. Abby, remember? That's like, beauty standards exist. These women and stupid ass simps were saying beauty is subjective. That's the most bullshit answer.
Yo, Kifaru, say the name. I'm tired of that nigga. I'm tired of that guy.
Preference is subjective, but
and
beauty is
this thing is coming to Africa.
Something's good. Yeah.
Kezo, and this is coming to Africa in the guise of Pan-Africanism. These retarded Pan-Africanists are trying to make you think that any butch Black woman is just as beautiful as any other woman. And if you don't accept that she's beautiful, then you're a Eurocentric, Black man.
You can
get the fuck out of my face. Kifaru, you can go drop dead with that bullshit, man. Exactly. I'm speaking to Kifaru directly.
Exactly. And to all you Africans, I got a light-skinned song for you every time. If you're not subscribed to my channel, it's on the landing page of my channel. I got a light-skinned song that you play every time a woman says something about European beauty standards. I want what I want, and you can't dictate what my dictates. You can't. Okay? Don't even try to.
Yeah. It makes sense perfectly. And LR, before I wanted to ask you a question before we start landing to the Ethiopian Airlines. Because I think in your case, you kind of, I don't know. Do you think that white supremacy is the real reason why our women aren't portrayed? Or do you think it's really the women are not, policing their image? They're sort of, because of this whole empowered nonsense, they think that Michelle, God knows what she's done, right? Anyways, she's in the archetype of a beautiful woman. Yeah, when I saw that list, it was game over. I was convinced that Game Changer was 100% correct. It wasn't even like, oh, maybe, no. I saw the list. And this is a prominent media distribution service. So I don't know, man, what's going on with our people?
Honestly, it's a bit of both, because a lot of non-Black women like to get certain black dudes that if they were on a discount, see what I'm saying? So it's a bit of both. Like our women are not policing themselves, and in the more so the feminism part of white supremacy, that's how you get some of this a lot of this interracial intermingling. Because some of the guys that the girls, our women give away, these other women scoop them up because they can't find an equivalent in their group. So it's just a bit of both.
I agree. We do give discount dick, but we give it to our own people. Like, so what black women have done is they have convinced black men to give their dick at a discount. And once you do that, don't be upset when other women, take advantage of that. I mean, you have basically guys who are okay, yeah, you playing them. So yeah. You hit the play button, you gotta hit the play button.
Was this like your fantasy roll call that you've been jerking off to that we gotta watch?
No, it's not that. Listen, mine is so complicated that it's not even about that. It's not even about that. I have a very, very eclectic taste for what I jack off to. No, I made this song to stick it in the face of people who try to say, oh, it's European beauty standard. Bitch, I like what I like. You can't tell me what I like, and I prefer darker skinned women. But how dare you tell me that? How dare you try to judge what I like? Yeah, if I want to,
I'm letting it buffer a little bit.
Soundtrack.
But I'm letting it buffer. This is Game Changer's hit song. Kaizo has Bluebird. Ike has a couple songs out here, and Game Changer has Light Skinned. Not light skinned. You gotta have the Ados twist in there, the light skinned aspect. And then we have already dropping some dollars for the song Nile Valley's finest, $5. Thank you very much for my Android user, some kind of African. Okay, this is our closing theme. Unless if you have any last words or thoughts to kind of close this out. We went through the whole planet. I know we're going to keep the United States, but Aboriginal, go ahead.
Ike, just one statement. Even if that clip you showed of the black chick complaining about the white chick, even if that shit was on mute, the white chick still won the argument. She looks better.
Wow.
The end.
This is true.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing, because I just like Lizzo, you were saying about the face thing. Like that chick doesn't actually have a bad face. The one like get rid of the makeup in the eye, lose the weight, right, and all that kind of stuff. Like her face is not like, it's not like she has a square jaw or ugliness about it. She's just not presenting right, and she's fat and all that other kind of stuff. But anyways, light skinned. Here we go.
Oh no, that's the wrong one.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
How the hell did that happen? Can you send me yeah?
Yeah, I'll send it. Y'all go ahead. But
Okay, so I think we kind of established a few things here that, when it comes to cultural appropriation, there's an aspect of taking from a minority that is close to you. There's got to be a proximity aspect, okay? And because there's proximity, there's some other things that come along with the number one is friction. Number two is a likelihood not to acknowledge, right? You don't give the reverence, or you do not recognize where it comes from, okay? That is an important aspect. The power aspect there is already mentioned, in the sense that it's a majority typically taken from a minority of some kind of power differential is always necessary there. So you got the no reference given, and there's a proximity aspect, and then the power differential, and then you have all these issues coming up. Then Game Changer is going to throw in his light-skinned song to wrap this all up with. Okay, thank you for the super chats, everybody. We have Lima joining us here for final thoughts. Lima, the Britisher over here. What you got to say?
What's happening, Ike? Can
What
you
up,
hear
what
me,
up,
man?
what
I'm on
up?
some Turkish fucking. I'm in Turkey, bro. I don't know if the reception is good.
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, what's the topic about? Beautiful women, as usual.
No, we're talking about cultural appropriation, okay? And we were for the past 2.5 hours talking about cultural appropriation. We're about to end, basically. But the idea
Oh, you're
is
finished.
that, yeah, we're finishing. Yeah. But, we ran through the whole gamut there of the things that people complain about, from the shallow to the more complex. And then we ended up with the women, because after all, when it comes to cultural appropriation, what is typically seen is, the surface level, the aesthetic stuff, like, lipstick and makeup and hoop earrings and blah, blah, blah. And then the main argument that we were having here for the last 30 minutes is, hey, it's not just a question of the white women stealing your stuff and then, not giving you credit. It's just that they actually present themselves as more attractive, and then they sell more. A, because they're the majority, and hence they're going to sell more, and B, because they are more attractive. De facto, not a question of whether you think of, I'm talking about the facts. The facts of the matter is you're going to see more fat and unattractive black women
I think
presented
they have
in
more
the
money
media
to spend
versus
as well.
the white women. Exactly, majority, more money to spend. Yeah, so, and I'm sure you know of all the different arguments and complaints about
Ike,
the white chick taking a
have you
dance.
ever had an
And
Asian
then,
girlfriend, Ike?
yeah. Yes, Vietnamese.
Okay,
Mm.
okay. What you do is, yeah, go and buy an Asian girl an expensive outfit, yeah, and buy a black girl a cheap outfit, and you see the difference in reaction. When you buy the expensive item for an Asian girl, they go crazy. They go, "Why are you buying this expensive rubbish? We could save money for the house." But if you buy cheap stuff for the black girl, she'll go nuts on you. Like, you think I'm this cheap? So it's a big difference in mentality, bro. I swear to God, I'm being serious, bro.
Well, you know what? That is true. That is true. That is true.
Hey,
It's a
actually, I
mentality
remember.
that is actually different.
Speaking of Asians, right? I never. Well, the Chinese. Well, let's come for the Chinese a little bit. They are the ugliest of the Asians.
They
Okay.
look like they have Down syndrome.
They're kind of flat face, Down syndrome look. They're not really
They're not
working
all
for
that
them.
bad, to be honest. They're not that bad. There are some nice
You mean
ones,
the
man.
Chi-
Trust me. They
Yeah,
really are.
You
Yeah, the
mean the
Chinese, they've
Chinese?
got some beautiful ones.
Okay.
Yeah, they have.
Okay.
Honestly,
Oh, yeah. I'm
it's just
sure they do. I'm sure they do.
they've
I'm
got
just
more
talking.
ugly. They've got more ugly. I'll be fair. They've got more ugly ones, but they have
and
got
no
some
bodies
nice
as
ones,
well.
man.
They have flat,
And
flat bodies.
so on the same kind of band of like lighter skinned Asians, you have the Koreans and the Japanese, which tend to be more attractive. But those are not. I actually prefer, like, let's say, Cambodian, Thai,
Yep.
Vietnamese of a particular. Those ones, a little dark or whatever.
Indonesian.
Yeah, the Filipinos will be
A bit
okay
yellow.
if not for the fact that they're just kind of too mixed becomes an issue. It's just they're now just like Mexicans, like short Mexicans is what they now look like, the Filipinos. But anyways, might as well go
But
for a
they look
Mexican with
after
that.
their men, though. You can't take that away. The way they look after the men is unbelievable.
I agree.
That
I agree.
that is true. That is true. Shout out, and Game Changer. Maybe Game Changer. You didn't mention Ghana for some reason, because Ghana is not super colonized, and there's certain regions of. But I think they're not going to satisfy your light skin thing. Yeah, not going to satisfy your light skin. Yeah,
They look like coals, burning coals.
they're pretty dark.
Well,
But,
I haven't really met many women from Ghana, just Nigeria and of course Cameroon, but haven't really met many Ghanaian women, so I can't. But the ones I have, they're actually indistinguishable from Nigerians.
Unfortunately, yeah. There is
Moroccan
a difference.
women are beautiful.
Nigerians,
Why you not
unfortunately,
talk about Moroccan women?
Yeah, Morocco
Well,
feels
Morocco,
like
we're talking about like Black African.
Yeah, we're talking.
They are
Yeah,
blackish.
like,
Horn of Africa.
They are though. They look like these women. Moroccans look like her.
Yeah,
If
Some
she's
of them,
black, Moroccans are black.
Southern
Let's
ones,
be
southern
fair,
ones,
man.
right? Southern
Okay,
A
ones.
lot of them look like this. Kaiser, you know a lot of them look like this.
Okay,
This picture right here.
Northern Africa can get it. Egypt, Morocco, yes. Give me a Princess Jasmine chick, and yeah. So yeah.
If this woman is black, Moroccans are black.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going to end the show. Kaizo, your last thoughts, and then Game Changer. You can play your songs. Take us out.
For me, my preference obviously is Horn of Africa, East Africa, South Africa, and Ghana. the issue with the Moroccans is, yeah, they're beautiful, but it feels like it's bootleg, right? I'd rather go, Siberia and get like a real white woman.
There you go.
All right, game changer.
All right. So if a woman accuses you of being colorist, or you're brainwashed, you're colonized, double down on it. Double down on it with a song like this.
She's pretty and smart and good at heart. She's light skinned and her eyes are green, her hair is clean. She's light skinned and her skin is so fair and she's so straight up front. She cooks good food and never rich. She's light skinned and no counterfeit, never heritage rich. She's light skinned and she's out of sight, don't call her white. She's light skinned and she's so great and bad and she gives awesome head. She gets it back before she's ahead. She's light skinned and she is sport of her support. She's light skinned and she's never crude, no attitude. She's light skinned and she's so well behaved cause she listens from friends. She don't eat much of that bad. She's light skinned and she's out of sight and never fight. She's light skinned and her skin is green, her self-esteem. She's light skinned and her skin is so smooth and she knows how to move. She truly thinks she can work the day. She's light skinned and she's fine as wine with a knife behind. She's light skinned and her skin is beige and we on the same page. She's light skinned and there's good white girl class and the sexy fat ass. Her hair is long, I send the song. She's light skinned and she's the only one I want. She's light skinned and the one I call when I want to have her. She's light skinned and she's the only one I want. She's light skinned and light skinned and she pretty and smart and good at heart. Her eyes are green, her hair's clean, her skin's fair. She's pretty hair. She cook good food and never rude. Don't have a fit when the head is wet. She's out of sight. Don't call her by it. She great in bed with off some head. She'll get the bag for she had. She play a sport, offer support. She never rude, no attitude. Well behaved, do Sunday slave. She don't eat much of that on tug. Out of sight and never find. Her skin's cream, high self-esteem. Her skin smooth, know how to move. She really fit, can't write that thing. Fine swine with a nice behind. Her skin is beige. She be on the same page with a white girl class and a big fat ass. Her hair's long. Let's hear this song. She's light skinned and she's the only one I want. She's light skinned and the one I call when I want to have fun. She's light skinned and she's the only one I want. She's light skinned and light skinned and she's light skinned and she's the only one I want.